It's New York Giants playoffs, and it's Tainah and Dog. We're getting you ready for Saturday night's big showdown in Philly. That's coming your way on the Locked On Giants podcast next.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of the Locked On Giants podcast is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Giants Live Playoff Edition.
Playoffs. Freaking playoffs. Another playoff game, Giants fans. How good does this feel?
Dog is ready, man. Dog is ready. I am Patricia Traina, your host, joined by Bad Dog and Tainah, Traina, and the dog, as the trio is known. We're going to be talking playoffs. Again, Eagles, Giants, Saturday night. Can you think of a better way, guys, to be spending Saturday night? I know I can't.
No, I can't. Until it's over. Then maybe even better. Who knows?
It will be better. We're not bringing the negative vibes here. Listen. I just realized that I forgot to charge my laptop. My charger's upstairs, so I'm going to grab it in a second. But I'm super excited. I don't want to die midstream. I'm super excited to be here. Super excited to talk about the win over the Minnesota Vikings, and I think we got a better chance than the odds makers think against Philadelphia. We'll talk about it throughout the stream, but Giants are playing good football right now.
Yes, they are. And guys, but let's roll back the tape a little bit and talk about that Minnesota game and the level of confidence and what we saw, the different things. What are some of the things that came out of that game that you guys feel really good about that maybe they can apply towards this game coming up against Philly?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, definitely. But we still have naysayers out there, believe it or not.
I mean, listen, Chris and I talk about this a lot. Some people just, I don't know. I mean, Eli Manning even took some heat, even when he won the Super Bowl his first year. And some people are just never going to be satisfied. They want the flashy quarterback. They want the elite guy. They want the guy with all the skills. And I'll be honest. I mean, Daniel Jones showed an elite skill set in that game. I thought Daniel Jones was elite in that game. 300 yards passing, couple touchdowns, ran for a touchdown, 78 yards on the ground. I don't know what else anybody could ask for the kid, especially being his first playoff game on the road. And one thing about Eli Manning, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but Eli could have a terrible season or a terrible game, but when you needed him, when the chips were down, you always felt like Eli was going to do it. We always said playoff Eli. Is playoff Eli going to show up? Like in 2016, he didn't have a great regular season, but playoff Eli was there, so everybody let him down. Was there a playoff version of Daniel Jones? Because I'll be honest, Patty, I think that was his best game as a pro. So if we're going to build on that, we know the Eagles are an aggressive defense. I definitely think that Daniel Jones and the Giants could use, Daniel Jones could run in that game, but, they may look for that. And maybe they pop Saquon Barkley. What this does is gives us a lot more options and weapons on the offense. So who do the Eagles, guard against? What do they guard against? So I'm excited. And like Chris said, I think we have a way better chance than these naysayers are giving us. I mean, our backups played them really tough the last week of the season. And this is a much different team than the first time we met. We're healthy. We're playing our best football. Eagles have been off for a week, so Jalen Hurts has played once in the last month or so. I think we got a good chance.
Yeah, much like I heard some of what Bad Dog said because I was going up to get my charger. I didn't want to die during the live stream, but yeah, I heard the Daniel Jones part. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to take much out of it because it's two completely different teams. We all know that the Philadelphia defense is going to be much different, much more of a challenge for this New York Giants offense. Make no mistake about it. And the Eagles offense is much different than the Minnesota offense. With the Eagles, you got to worry about Jalen Hurts' mobility. That brings a different element to their offense. So it's hard, what to take out of it. Not to mention Dexter and Leo had 14 combined pressures. Probably won't be able to do that against Kelsey in that offensive front for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think all of us know there's going to be different challenges going into this game. But regardless, yeah, I think the main thing that you take out of that game One, Kafka and Daboll had something to say for the playoffs. Like that was blatantly obvious. Like
the Statue of Liberty play was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and Justin told me a crazy stat when I was on their channel earlier this week. 32% of the time they run pre-snap motion. On the year, they averaged 16%, so they doubled that. So that really stood out, right? You think about the Barkley run on the first drive for the 28-yard touchdown. There was pre-snap motion. Throughout the entire game, there was pre-snap motion. So that really stood out to me. And you could tell that they were saving a lot for the playoffs in terms of the play calling. And Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones played so good, he got the Vikings defensive coordinator fired. He just got fired about an hour ago. So
Yeah, I heard.
that's how good DJ played. He played out of his mind. First quarterback ever in his first playoff. Not in his first playoff, but it occurred in his first playoff start. It's the first quarterback in the history of the NFL playoffs to throw for 300 yards, rush for 70, and have 2 touchdowns with no turnovers. So he played out of his mind. He played one of the best performances I've ever seen a quarterback have in a debut playoff start, maybe the best ever for a first start in a playoff game. So terrific for Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And after that game, I posted a tweet. I said, are we now convinced that this team has this franchise quarterback? And most people said yes. But there were still some naysayers. It doesn't matter what Daniel Jones does. He could save their kids from a life-threatening situation. They'll still think Daniel Jones is trash. I just don't understand it. I mean, what more does this guy have to do outside of giving blood to somebody who needs it?
I'll be honest, Patty. I think some people just don't want to admit they're wrong. Like I was wrong, and I have no problem saying I should have believed. I actually did an apology video this week. And the reason being is, it's funny. I found like a short of me when I went to the game with Chris way back in 2019. It just happened to pop up, and I played it it says third quarter touchdown. That's all it says. And I'm talking to my buddy who's recording me, and I say right in the video, this is my words. I say he's got 4 touchdowns. He's playing a hell of a game. You got to love the way he's playing. Danny Dimes looks amazing. I said, if we ever get him an offensive line and a real coach, he's going to be dangerous in the NFL. Those are my exact words. And somewhere over the last 2 years, clouded by all the losses and all the terrible football, I failed to realize what I said back in 2019. Let's get him a real coach. Well, he has a real coach now. Joe Judge wasn't the guy. Jason Garrett wasn't the guy. Now we have a guy that gets the most out of Daniel Jones, and we see what he can be. So somewhere, again, what my heart knew, my head forgot. So I have no problem saying I was wrong. I didn't think he'd be the guy going into the year. I didn't think he'd be back. Hey, I'm glad I got that one wrong because I don't want to have to search for another quarterback. I want to be able to have a quarterback. I want to be able to build around a quarterback. They're tough to find. Daniel Jones just needs to do what he's been doing this. It's win. People are like, oh, well, he's a game manager. I don't care. Win games. That's all I care about.
Danny Dimes is going to get plenty of them. Whether it's going to be dollars or dimes, he's going to get plenty of it.
He's going to get a lot of dollars. Never mind Danny Dimes. He's going to be Danny Dollars. Yeah. And, good for him. Look, I too, at the beginning of the year, I had my doubts whether he would come along. I was wrong. I'm happy I was wrong. And like you said, Dog, given where the Giants are probably going to end up drafting, towards the bottom of the first round here, you ain't getting a quarterback. I know I had Mike Lombardi on the show, I think last week, and he said, well, you could always trade up. I'm like, nah, I'm thinking to myself, nah, with all due respect, you got so many other needs you got to address. Why you want to be trading up? This team isn't one player away. It needs a lot more. So quarterback, I think if they can get him re-signed, and I think they will, they have their guy, I wouldn't sign him to like a 6-year deal. But, for the next 3 years, see how he does. If he outplays it, rip the contract up and give him another long-term deal. Just keep locking him up. That's all.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's where it's headed. I think it's going to be at least a 4-year deal at this point. And we'll see how they structure it. But he deserves to get paid. I mean, the guy has shown up. He's dealt with a lot of crap. And he has all the other things that you want in a New York quarterback. The way that he handles the media, the way that he handles the pressure, hardworking. And now he's starting to put it all together. So I couldn't be happier for him. Another thing I think we should talk about, at least briefly, in terms of what stood out for me in that game, the offensive line. That was a big worry for me, and it's definitely a big worry for me this week. I mean, the Eagles had 70 sacks this year, 4 guys with double-digit sacks, 2 sacks away from breaking the all-time NFL record. Now, what I will say is I think those stats are a little bit skewed, and I'm going to explain why. The Eagles this year, if you recall, they always got out to a huge lead in the first half of like every game they played, which means that the teams were constantly playing catch up. So they probably had to throw a lot, but regardless, that's still ultra impressive. And they got a ton of weapons on their defensive line that they could shift in and out. So I think that's a big worry going into this game. But the offensive line played great. I mean, they just did. Evan Neal had that one hiccup. But outside of that, Andrew Thomas didn't allow a pressure on 44, I think, pass protection plays. The offensive line as a whole, even the interior, did a really good job. So I think they deserve more credit than maybe some people gave them after the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, guys, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, the return of Jackson and McKinney. I mean, they held Jefferson to under, what was it, 47 yards or 57 yards he had?
I think it was 49 yards, I want to say.
I think it was 49. Okay. And he didn't even have a reception, if I remember correctly, in the fourth quarter. I mean, Hawkinson still had his yardage. I don't know if they, just said, okay, we're going to let him eat and we'll worry about the other guys. But, what difference did you see Jackson and McKinney making this time around that wasn't there maybe in the first game with the Vikings?
I mean, honestly, Jefferson didn't have nearly as many yards, and I don't know if that was equated to McKinney and Adoree Jackson coming back, or if that was Wink Martindale just saying, listen, I'm going to play bracket coverage. We're going to double Jefferson, and we'll let Hawkinson, get his 8 to 10 yards, which was frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I was getting sick and tired of 3rd down and 9. There's TJ Hawkinson running 12 yards, turning around and catching a pass. But again, I don't know, if that had to do with McKinney or not. I know McKinney made the big play to stop it, but I don't know if that had to, like I said, it's hard to tell what Wink's scheme was. It didn't seem like they blitzed a lot.
No, he didn't.
And I think that he was a little bit,
I think.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit more cautious. I don't think he wanted to get burned by the big play. And maybe getting McKinney and Adoree Jackson back allowed him to do that, where he just felt like, I'm just going to let these guys go out in the secondary, play a little zone coverage. I'm not going to bring everybody with these guys because I feel like these guys can make the play out there. I don't really know. It's tough to tell because Hawkinson had a really good game the first time, but Jefferson had 133 yards. This time they did shut him down. So for Justin Jefferson, so I don't know, but I do know. I think it will make a difference in this game. I think Wink has to be aggressive. I don't think you can allow Jalen Hurts time back there because Kirk Cousins isn't going to run around. Yeah. If Jalen Hurts can't find anybody, he's going. So we're going to have to find somebody to spy him. And one thing, and I know Chris mentioned this the other night, we were doing a show with a couple of Eagles content creators. Kayvon Thibodeau has gotten burned a couple of times with the RPO because he's really aggressive. He has to make sure that he stays under contained and doesn't allow Jalen Hurts to, go past him when he fakes that to Miles Sanders or that little squirt Boston Scott who seems to kill us all the time. So I'm interested to see what Wink does in this, but there's no question hopefully Azeez is healthy. But having, our secondary fully healthy, that's certainly going to help a lot. We're going to need everybody in this one against that.
I'm concerned about Azeez. I tweeted this before the injury report came out. He landed on the injury report. He's the only player to have the injury designation questionable. I'm going to be honest. I don't, it's a gut feeling based on kind of the vibes. I am wondering if he's going to make it. I think he wants to. I know he wants to actually. Whether or not he does, that's what I'm concerned about. And if he doesn't, I was talking about this with Coach Gene earlier today for a bonus show that I'm going to publish tonight. If they don't have Azeez in the lineup, then I think they're going to probably roll with a combo of Jihad Ward and Zimenez and the run defense on that edge. I mean, I hope those guys can hold up. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and to speak further a little bit on that, on the point about Jefferson, I think that was the game plan going in. It's why I said all week that TJ Hawkinson was the guy that scared me more because I thought the Giants were going to do exactly what they did, which was double Jefferson. And that's what Wink did. He said, we're going to take him out of the game. We're not going to let him kill us. And I think the other thing that limited him even more so in terms of his production is that even though we didn't get a lot of sacks, Dexter and Leonard got a lot of quick pressure, and they forced Cousins to get the ball out quick. And if you're double covering Jefferson, naturally you're going to look for guys in single coverage because Jefferson doesn't have enough time to be able to break coverage. So that's what I thought the game plan would be. And I did think the defensive line would do a good job in terms of getting quick pressure. So yeah, that's why I think we kind of took Jefferson out of the game. This week, though, presents a completely different obstacle because if you double cover one of these receivers for one, both of them are tremendous. So it's pick your poison. But if you double cover one of these wide receivers, then you're taking away one guy that you could potentially use to spy Jalen Hurts as a runner coming out of the backfield. So it's a different element this week that presents new challenges.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we'll see how they play it. I mean, and that kind of, leads me into the next question I was going to ask you is, the Giants, this is the third time they're playing the Eagles this year. I don't know if you count, the first game or the second game, week 18, but what do you anticipate is going to be different this time around besides maybe the result?
Well, we're healthier for one, right? I mean, we got the first
Oh,
time
yeah,
around.
but I mean, in terms of, how they attack. I mean, I go back to, when they got the doors blown off of them, what could they take away? But a different team back then, and Daboll has said that. He said, look, things were different back then. Each week is different. You can play a team basically 5 times in a row and each game's going to be different. But what are you guys anticipating to be different this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first time around on the defensive end specifically, Leonard Williams, I think, got hurt early in that game, if I'm not mistaken. We were without McKinney and we were without Adoree Jackson. So I think you're taking away 3 of your 5 most important defensive players. So that's a big deal. And last time around against the Philadelphia Eagles, we failed to get much pressure at all. And obviously, they have a very good, strong offensive line, specifically on the interior. Kelsey's tremendous at the center spot, but that's the strength of our defense. But if with Leonard Williams back in, that presents more of a challenge for that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. With Leo not in there, they're able to double and even triple cover Dexter Lawrence to make sure he doesn't get to the quarterback. With Leonard Williams in there, not so much. So I think that is a huge change. And if the Giants are going to win this game, that's where they're going to need to get the pressure, because I think the edge, you got to contain him. You have to seal the edge. I don't know if you want to overcommit because he'll beat you with his legs. So I think if the Giants are going to be able to have successful pressure against Hurts in this game, they're going to have to get it in the interior, because I think they're going to have to stay disciplined on the edges. They're not going to have, because he'll just take off a run for 15, 20 yards if Kayvon runs right by him. So they got to be smart on the edges. I think the interior's got to win. And with Leo back, that should certainly help. And having Adoree back and McKinney back just certainly helps you in coverage as well. So it's a completely different defense, and the offense looks different. I mean, Hodgins at that point didn't have near the chemistry he has now with Daniel Jones. He's grown a lot as a player. Barkley barely played in that game. He looks completely different the last 2 or 3 weeks in terms of his explosiveness. And this offense as a whole, just the play calling has opened up over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So this is a different Giants team going into this game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And offensively, can we all agree that maybe a little bit more in terms of touches for Saquon? And, also Daniel, I think last time, matter of fact, I looked it up. Daniel had 4 rushes and only 2, I think, were design runs. And I believe it was Tommy G who posted a stat that the Giants are 6-0-1 when Daniel has at least 10 rushing attempts, design rushing attempts. So, I don't want to see him running 17 times like he did last week, but, put the ball in his hands a little bit more. Definitely put the ball in Saquon's hands a little bit more. The Giants, and I never thought this would happen, given the state of the receivers, but they finally have a balanced offense. Earlier in the year, obviously the running game had to carry this team, and then people started to figure out how to shut down the run game, and there was that little lull there, and then lo and behold, the passing game has blossomed.
Yeah, I think, like Chris said, defensively, we're way more healthy than we were that first game against Philadelphia. Now, luckily for me, luckily, that was a weekend I didn't have cable and I had no internet because somebody got in a car accident, knocked the telephone pole down. So I had to listen to Carl Banks about Pop, and it sounded terrible. And I said it, and people said it looked worse, Bad Dog. But offensively, I think for us, Barkley only carried the ball 9 times last week. So really, he should be extremely fresh in this game, which poses a massive threat. He has definitely looked more explosive, getting a little break there because it looked like he was worn down when we were going through that lull. He should be rested and ready to go. But I think the big thing is you've seen Kafka go to the bag of tricks. The Giants have had all this in there. And there's no way, I don't know if anybody, I never would have expected to see the Statue of Liberty. That really, I saw it against Oklahoma back in 2007 when Boise State beat them, because you never ever see that play. But that was awesome. I couldn't believe they only got a couple yards on it. But I just think the creativity, you're going to see a lot of things because you have nothing to lose.
Oh, yeah.
You have to throw everything out there. There's no reason to, leave it all out in the field, leave everything out there. So the Giants are going to dig deep into the playbook. They've seen, the Eagles have seen us twice. But the first time, the offense was kind of vanilla. Like Chris said, Hodgins wasn't really a big threat at that time. Daniel Jones ran 4 times. The last game of the season, we played our backups. None of our guys played. I did like Davis Webb, though. Davis Webb couldn't run it. If Davis Webb's running, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, God, if he could run these quarterback draws, and they look like quarterback draws, not RPOs. But I'm like, if he's able to run against the Eagles defense, and there was no Saquon Barkley in that game, I'm thinking, what could Daniel Jones do with Saquon Barkley? So I think when you see the offense open up, I think when you see guys like, now Slayton had that big drop, and I'm glad that his teammates picked him up. I think Slayton's going to have a big comeback in this game. I really do. And I love the way Daboll went over and picked him up. I mean, it's just, this is such a, the way this team like picks each other up and the culture, I've said at the beginning of the year, winning builds culture. The culture is so much different here now with Daboll and the coaching staff than it was 5 years ago. These guys care about one another. They play for one another. They play hard for the coach. So it's just a different chemistry. It's a different unit. It's a different feel. This is a way different team than what Philadelphia saw the first time around. I don't count week 18. They didn't see anything in week 18.
Yeah.
So I think that, Kafka and Daboll, I think they're going to bring out a lot of tricks, and I think they're going to be very unpredictable, and we'll see what they do. But I'm anxious to see. I think the offense is way more advanced than it was the last time we played.
Yeah.
Many more threats. So I don't want to get in a shootout with Philadelphia, but I have a feeling that we're going to be able to score more in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's interesting. Daboll's approach to practice this week, and I think Philly did the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, but Daboll's approach to practice was kind of interesting. The focus was on the mental aspect of it. So on Tuesday, because it's a short work week, they had to change the schedule, move everything up a little bit. Tuesday, they had basically a 1-hour install, a walkthrough, if you will. Wednesday was a walkthrough. Today they were in shells, so you figured they weren't going at it full blast. And I like this approach for a couple reasons. Number one, they've seen Philly twice now in the last 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. So the physical part is kind of set. So now let's focus on the mental part, because the game is 90% mental, 10% physical. Make sure you have your assignments down pat. And I am pretty sure now, obviously we're not allowed to watch practice, the open part of practice, or I'm sorry, the team part of practice. I'm pretty much sure that they're going to empty the playbook, because this is win or go home. Right. And they don't want to go home. They have a quiet confidence about themselves. You can see it. Nobody's overly cocky. Nobody's strutting around like they think they're the king or anything like that.
Not like they're not strutting around like they're the Eagles. It's just a Giants.
Well, I don't know how the Eagles are strutting around. I haven't been in their locker room, but I'm just saying, the Giants. What's amazing to me is how they've just been the same team, demeanor-wise. Yeah. In the playoffs as well as in the regular season. Nothing has really changed. It's not like we're in the, it's not like you, dog, playoffs,
Yeah. I'm fired up about the playoffs. We haven't had that here in a while.
As are a lot of fans, and rightfully so. But this team, they have, the fire is burning within, and it's fueling this desire to kind of come out and punch the Eagles in the mouth. This is a team, remember, they haven't won in Philly since 2013. The Eagle fans, they're not going to be very friendly. Not at all. I mean, Philly is not an easy place to go to. It's not an easy place to play at. A lot of the players even don't want their parents showing up. Dexter Lawrence said that, a couple of other guys said that as well. So it's going to be a real hostile environment, but this team has a quiet confidence that's not cocky, but it just makes you think like, okay, just maybe they can pull this out and they can put an end to this, long streak of not winning at that house of horrors known as the Link.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about consistency in terms of the team's demeanor. I think it all goes back to Daboll. I think he sets the tone. I mean, every time he talks to the media after the game, he always responds the same way. He doesn't go over the top in terms of his praise for the players. He also doesn't go too low when you guys ask him questions. Like he's very balanced. He's very consistent, because I think that's the tone that he wants to set with this team. He wants every game to be treated the same way in terms of preparation, in terms of importance of the game, in terms of growth. So this team, I think, is prepared for this. I really do. I think they've been playing in games of this magnitude, or at least near this magnitude, all the way leading up into the playoffs, where they knew they were going to have to win these games, and that was the way that Daboll approached it. So it's only makes sense that the team and Daboll are going to approach it in a similar demeanor. So I think they're ready for this game. I think they're prepared. The only question for me is our best going to be enough? Because I think they're getting our best. They're going to see a much different New York Giants team. And the other thing, we've seen them twice. They've only really seen us once. The second time around, we played our bench. We played our second stringers, third stringers. We got more tape on them. Yeah, we got more tape on them. They didn't get more tape on us. And make no mistake about it, Daboll's been preparing for this team because knowing that there was a very good chance we could play them in the second round of the playoffs. So I know for a fact a coach as good as ours, there's no way he got an opportunity to see this team twice. And the fact that he coached Hurts in college, that he's not going to come out with a pretty good game plan going into this game on Saturday.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. Daboll knows what Hurts is capable of doing and what he's not capable of doing. So that is a really, really good point. And, just again, the Giants, I think they know that people are not giving them much of a chance. They know that, the Eagles are already, planning their Super Bowl victory parade and whatnot, but it's just.
We're about to rain on that parade, Patty.
I sure hope so. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night Saturday. What's going to be a long night Saturday night regardless, but I hope you're right. I really do, because that's the last of the curses that need to be broke. The Bo curse has been broken. Now let's see the Giants snap that losing streak that they have at the House of Horrors, the Link, or what I call the Stink. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I call it the Stink because something bad always happens there. I don't know.
I got a question for you, Patty. Do you believe that history repeats itself?
It depends.
It's a common phrase, right? It's a common phrase. 2007, divisional round. We played the number 1 seed in the NFC. We played a team that swept us in the regular season. We played on the road, and we played a team that was favored by 7.5. We ended up beating
a team in our division.
A team in our division. That was the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles, 1 seed, swept us. They're favored by 7.5 on the road. Let's make history.
Well, hey, listen, and here's something else I'll tell you. The Giants, when they have played in London, 2007, what happens? They went to the playoffs, and they advanced. 2016, they played in London, went to the playoffs, didn't advance. Played in London this year. They're in the playoffs, advance. So if you go every other one, they're advancing. They're advancing.
And I can tell you this, twice we were underdogs, 2 times, well, not the last 2 times, but 2 out of the last 3 times we won the Super Bowl. We had to go to San Francisco and beat them in the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl. Well, if San Francisco wins and we win, where are we going?
San Francisco. Although, you know what? I wouldn't mind if the Giants win this weekend. I wouldn't mind getting another crack at Dallas. Let San Francisco and Dallas beat the heck out of each other.
I agree with you. I think Dallas would be.
I would want Dallas.
That would be the highest viewed game in the history of the NFL. I was talking about that with one of my buddies at the gym today. He's a Cowboys fan, and he said because the Thanksgiving Day game was hugely viewed, and I know Cowboys fans are like, "Oh, look at them boys." I go, you realize that the reason that was so highly viewed is New York's a big market. I don't know why you guys think it was. Listen, Dallas plays on every Thanksgiving. How come they don't break it every year? It's because they played the Giants, okay, which is a massive market, and we're good. We're good. An NFC Championship game between Dallas and New York.
Oh,
the ratings would be through the roof.
Go through the roof. It would break the internet.
Right. So I don't know, but I'm just saying, just 3 times we won the Super Bowl, 86, 90, and 2011. We had to go through San Francisco.
Yeah.
So,
the reason I listen, I could never root for the Cowboys, guys. But
I can't either. I ain't rooting for that.
But the main reason why I think Dallas would be a much easier matchup, and it's not even that we've played them twice.
Right.
We haven't played the 49ers. We haven't played them. So just that in itself, I think the 49ers have a better team, but just that in itself, I think that's a big advantage for the Giants. The fact that they've played them twice, not to mention I think Shanahan's a better coach than McCarthy. So I would much rather play the Cowboys if we were to advance as opposed to the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it would be I would
play either one of them.
Give me the chance. I don't care.
Either one, I don't care. Just I don't want to. I want to beat Philadelphia so bad it's not even funny.
I was going to say, dog. If the Giants beat the Eagles, and then they get a crack at Dallas and they beat Dallas.
It'd be the greatest.
You'll
It'd be the greatest. It'd be the greatest year of
I'm
my
gonna make it
oh
Giants.
my
greater.
gosh, you will be insufferable.
I'm gonna make it even greater. I'm gonna drop the Hollywood script for you guys. Giants beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys. Then they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
Abel and Shane knock off their old team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That would be something. That'd be one
That
hell of
would
a
be
story.
something.
But
got to take care of business first, guys. We
One
can't
game
be
at a
guilty.
time. One game at a time.
We can't be guilty of looking too far ahead. As much as
I tell you what, Chris and I, we joked about it this year. We even talked about it with you, Patty. And the two games we played against Philadelphia this year, normally we're so hyped up, and it neither one of them meant anything. I mean, the first game meant something, but we knew the game against Washington was our season, and we knew whatever happened against Philadelphia, we had to beat Washington. And of course, week 18, we had nothing to play for. We didn't play anybody. So both of the regular season games, to me anyways, I can't speak for other Giants fans, but for me, normally I'm really hyped up for the Eagles. And this year I was like, I don't really care. Like, especially this last game, obviously I didn't care. I would have loved to have beat them with a backup. So I just think it would have been funny. But it didn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. But I'm fired up for this one. And I want revenge. I'm so sick and tired of the damn Eagles beating us. I'm so sick of it. This has happened since I was a kid. I mean, even when the Giants were good in the 80s, the damn Buddy Ryan. I hated Buddy Ryan. I hated not Jerome Brown, Seth Joyner. I hated Clyde Simmons. I hated Andre Waters. I hated that team. I hated those guys. They always beat us. We were 10-0 in 1990. Who was the first team lost to the damn Eagles? In 1989, they swept us. Even when we made the playoffs in 89, we were 12-4. They beat us twice. So I guess, 2010, the damn kick to Deshaun Jackson, the 61-yard field goal against us by Jake Elliott, the 2006 walk-off in the playoffs with David Akers knocking us out. I've had it with the damn Eagles. We owe them, Giants fans. We owe them. What better way to get some revenge, especially over the last 10 years? They also think it's funny that they traded up and got Devontae Smith. I didn't really care about that, but they think it's funny. So what I think is funny, I want the last.
We got Brandon Brown. The Giants got Brandon Brown.
That's right. So there you go. You want to talk? There's another advantage. He knows the talent of the Eagles. He knows what's going on over there. But to me, that would be the best revenge, is in a season where they're already punching their ticket to the Super Bowl, where they're 14-3, where they look like you're the best team in the league and nobody could touch them. For the lowly New York Giants to go back there, not to mention, I forgot 2008, which is the most horrific loss I've suffered in my Giants. The 2008 team was the best team that I ever saw. And again, I was young in 86, but we were so much more balanced in 2008 defensively and offensively as opposed to 86. 86, the offense struggled with a lot of injuries. Sims didn't have a great year, and then he got really hot near the end of the year. I want to beat him. I've had it with losing to this team. They piss me off, for lack of a better word. And I want to rain on their parade. I want some damn revenge.
But it's interesting because the attitude that the Giants are taking is whatever happened before this coaching staff got here, that's in the past.
It should be.
It's kind of like what happened with Wink Martindale's quote about Boston Scott, which got totally twisted out of context. It's like a lot of people just tweeted out the one line that, I don't look at Boston Scott as a Giant killer because he scored on them. But the rest, I posted the rest of the whole exchange here because it made a difference. But the coaches are like, look, whatever happened in the past is in the past. We're focused on the here and the now, and to get ready for what's upcoming.
Yeah, what happened in the past doesn't matter. We try to tell Eagle fans, they're like, 48-22.
But
there's got no bearing on Saturday's game at all.
Yeah. To the Giant fans, the past matters because
it matters.
For the fans, it matters, but for the coach and the players, that goes out the window. Now, me as a fan, Patty, I'm going to tell you my dream ending to this game. Tie game, 15 seconds. They should punt the ball out of bounds. Instead, they punt it to Richie James, and Richie James runs it in for 60 yards as he backpedals into the end zone.
Or Graham Cano get in a 61-yarder against them. And not that.
That would be fun, too. But you're absolutely right. The players, the coach, it means nothing. The history means nothing. This is a brand new team. They didn't play our starters the second time around. We didn't have a lot of our starters the first time around. This offense is completely different. We've scored 30 points each of the last 2 games that Daniel Jones started, which the Giants haven't done on offense since Pat Shurmur. They've done it twice in a row now. So this is a different team. They've opened up
Yes.
this offense. They've been saving something for the playoffs, and they should go into this game confident.
This is a mature team. You know,
Absolutely.
a mature team, considering that they have a lot of young guys who have never been to the playoffs. You know, and I think back to what Daboll said, you know, about the playoff experience being so overrated. It's like, just stick to your process, do your prep, and everything will come together. And everything he has said, if you think about it, as boring as it might be, everything he said has come to fruition.
Yeah.
So I
we
mean,
have another good luck. Eli's going to the game. I saw.
Oh yeah.
Eli said he was never going to go back to Philadelphia, but he said he wants to set a record for birds that he receives. So he'll be there.
I hope he has his 2 Super Bowl rings on and kind of, you know, exchanges them back.
Yeah, of course.
You know, 2 wings versus the one that the Eagles
Right,
have.
2 wings versus 2 rings, Patty. That's what we got there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the overall, you know, mood around the, you know, the Giants. There's again that quiet optimism. It's just, it reminds me of 2007. I keep going back to 2007 because that was one of my favorite teams to cover, and that playoff run was just amazing.
Yeah,
one of my fondest memories. I swear I could write a book on that section alone. But that's what this reminds me of, the demeanor, the confidence. You know, you don't have guys shooting off their mouth. You don't have guys, you know, yeah, it's just, you know,
it's a business-like approach.
It really is. It really is. And you have some team, you know, because some teams will get overhyped, and this team just, you know, they show up and they look all buttoned down, and they walk into the stadium, they're all buttoned down, and well, you know, everybody's shooting their rivals and stuff like that, and then they go out and they take care of business. Yeah. How cool is that? If you think about it, it's
really cool,
but it's cool.
Win on Saturday. It's gonna be really cool. I'm breaking out the cinnamon rolls for breakfast. That's what.
Your cheat day?
Yeah, it's my cheat day, Saturday. In 2011, I had cinnamon rolls every pregame. I had cinnamon rolls for breakfast in 2011. So we're whatever it takes. The opening night, I ate too much, and I threw up the night before opening. I said, "Listen, I got to throw up the night before the game for them to win. I'll do it. I don't care. I'll give almost anything."
You know what I did in 2007? Speaking of food and superstitions, when we were on the road with the, you know, covering the playoff games, every night before the game, I had the same dinner. And that was a shrimp Caesar salad.
Break it out,
so
Patty.
I had forgotten about that, and I had a shrimp Caesar salad Saturday night last weekend.
Ooh.
And my husband goes, "Oh, you're kicking up the."
Now you're going to be.
We know what you're having for dinner tomorrow.
You're going to be in Philadelphia. Yeah. You're going to be in Philadelphia tomorrow, right?
But it cracks me up because he's like, "Oh, I didn't even think about it," and he goes, "You're bringing back the tradition, huh?" I said, "What are you talking about?" So he said, "You had a shrimp Caesar salad every night while you were following, you know, traveling around to the Giant playoff games back in 2007. I said, "Oh, wow, you're right." I was surprised he remembered that because I would have it every night. And so, yeah, tomorrow night, you know what I'm having for dinner.
It's funny because I looked in the fridge. I said to my wife, I go, "What? There's cinnamon rolls in there." She goes, "Yeah, they were for my son. And they expired because I got home from the gym yesterday and I could smell them." I go, "What'd you do? You made them?" She goes, "Oh, they expired tomorrow." So I had to make them. And I'm like, "Well, I got to go to the grocery store on Friday night. I got to get more cinnamon rolls. That has to happen. I have to have those on Saturday morning. It needs to happen." We're beating the Eagles, Giants fans. But like Michael Strahan said, believe it and it will happen. If if the Giants lose, the Eagles are going to blow them out. That's really the way I look at it. I think if the Giants are in this game, the Giants play them tough, the Giants are going to win this game.
They got to beat them up.
We have to get off to a fast start. The Eagles are probably going to be a little rusty. Jalen Hurts really, Eagle fans, they were telling us that their playbook was very vanilla. He wasn't running, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's the case. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how Philadelphia plays every week. I don't watch them every week. What I do know is that he hadn't played in a month. And I know that when we played Green Bay in 2011, Aaron Rodgers didn't play the last week of the season. Then he had the week off, and they were rusty. And you could tell. And we got off to a fast start, and we ended up beating them. we have to get off that. We have to try to take that crowd out early because like you said, that crowd's gonna be fired up. I heard they're giving away free batteries from the throw people in Philadelphia, whatever they do in Philadelphia.
Oh my!
But I'm just kidding.
Oh my!
I always got to think I can't help it, man.
But you know what? You know what, Doug? You bring up a point, and I want ask you guys about it. The Eagles had to play Week 18 because obviously they had something at stake. The Giants sat their starters, so it wasn't quite a bye, but it was sort of a bye. But it was a good way that they approached it because even though they didn't totally get away from the game, they were involved mentally, which is what I talked about earlier about how they're approaching practice this week. And so the Giants really didn't get rusty because I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, they sat the starters and they're going to be rusty for this game. And I didn't think they looked rusty at all last week.
They played the best game
I thought if anything, they looked fresh. And I commented how Saquon to me looked like he was as fresh as week 1.
Yeah.
I love the way.
I think what else helped is that we were in that game the whole time, and they could not rest their starters. I think they wanted to get out to a big lead, and rest their guys in the fourth quarter. They didn't get a chance to do that.
They definitely
100%.
did.
100%.
And they also wanted to protect Jalen Hurts from getting hit. I don't remember off the top of my head how many times he got hit, but they wanted to get him out of there as soon as they can, and Giants backups would not let them.
Yeah.
So, I think if they're taking this team lightly, and, they'll say that they're not, but if the Eagles are taking this team lightly and they're already planning their trip out to San Francisco, they would have, if they're already planning to host the championship game, you might want to wait a second here,
I think Bad Dog's absolutely right in terms of getting off to the hot start because I do think that it's very possible the Eagles are going to start off slow. And the longer the Giants stay in this game, the more the pressure mounts for the Eagles because there's no pressure for the Giants going into this game. It's just like the Packers in 2011. All the pressure was on them. The Giants were a 9-7 team that didn't belong there. As far as their regular season record said, they didn't belong there. It's the same thing here. The Eagles they dominated all year. They've only lost one game in which Jalen Hurts started all year. So they should go into this game. They're supposed to kill us. I mean, they beat us 44, whatever, 48, I think 22 the first time around. Yep. They're supposed to kill us. They're the much better team on paper. So if the Giants are able to stay in this game and they get off to a little bit of a hot start and they come out slow, the pressure is only going to continue to mount on the Philadelphia Eagles. As far as Barkley goes, I completely agree with you. To me, he looks just like he did at the beginning of the year. And I think the Giants, we worried about this, right? Especially after that Houston game because he had 35 carries. And then it looked like he was starting to wear down a little bit. He had a shoulder injury. So we worried that he was going to wear down over the course of the season. I thought Daboll and the Giants did a really good job of kind of limiting his touches a little bit to preserve him for the stretch run. And now what you've seen what the Giants have done now with Barkley the last 4 or 5 games, they've started to really make an effort to utilize him more in the passing game. He had 10 targets against the Vikings the first time around. I think he had 6 this time. He had 8, I want to say, in the Colts game. So, they've really made it a focal point to try to get Barkley more involved in the passing game. So I'd expect that to hopefully continue down the stretch. And they continue to use this spread offense. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that this week. But if they want any chance to win this game, they're going to have to. I don't think they could go back to what they were doing the first 6 or 7 weeks and expect to win this game against Philadelphia, where they're running a ton of 2 tight end sets, limited personnel, only running 1 or 2 wide receivers out with routes. I don't think they could do that. I think they need to continue to do what they've been doing, 4 wide, spread,
open it up.
And give Jones an opportunity. Yep. I understand they got great pass rushers, and Neal's going to struggle to hold up, but you got to get the ball out fast and let Daniel Jones use his legs. But that's the way I look at it. Don't get away. Throttle. Yeah, don't get away from what you've been doing, even though I understand it's going to open itself up to more sack opportunities for the Eagles, potential fumbles from Daniel Jones. I understand all that. You've got to give your quarterback an opportunity to make plays. So they
got scared in this one. You can't go in there scared and conservative.
Yeah,
it's the playoffs. You have, like you said, there's no tomorrow. This is a single elimination game, and that's why Eagle fans, I understand, are cocky. They've had our number, and it's just the Giants again. It's just the Giants. All they have to do is have a bad week. They just have to have an off week, and we win. Yeah. This is one game elimination. This isn't, whoops, you had a hiccup, now we move on and win 5 in a row. You have a bad week here. Like they play the way they did against the Colts. They're losing. Okay, they talked about us, Chris. They were talking about, oh, you guys killed the Colts. The Colts defense sucks. The Colts defense held that team in check the entire game. They won because of a deep pass interference call with the last 2 minutes, and they won 17-16. Okay. And they let Jalen Hurts run in like on a 4th and 5 or whatever it was. I don't even know how you spread the field out and let the guy run in the way they did. But they scored 17 points. Their offense certainly wasn't clicking the way it was against us. It seemed like they started to kind of go down a little bit after that game, whereas we kind of started to go up. And this game's a lot closer than people think. They're playing totally different styles of football. And as Giants fans, we know, yeah, it's different coaches, it's different players. But we have seen the team that gets hot is the team that goes. You want to be playing your best football right now. You want to be at your healthiest right now. And that's where the Giants are. Did anybody think Cincinnati, coming off of a 4-win season the year before, was going to go into Kansas City and knock them off and go to the Super Bowl? No, nobody had that. Guess where Cincinnati up? Now, Cincinnati's got better weapons and better players than we do, but still nobody thought that was going to happen. So there's no reason to believe that we can't do this. And I think that they're going to. I really do. I really have a good feeling about this. I'm
starting to talk myself into it too. I'm not going to lie to you, Bad Dog. I really am. I'm starting to talk myself into a Giants win this week.
I think it's possible. I definitely think, I know when I did the crossover show yesterday with the 2 Locked On Eagles hosts, I picked the Eagles by a field goal. But the more I think about this, I think it's going to be a tight one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Let's make that clear. But I think the Giants have a chance. I really do. I mean, look, there've been games that I can honestly say, oh, the Giants have no shot in this one. The best they can do is hope.
The first time we played the Eagles this year, they had no shot.
Yeah. There've been games like that, but this one, I don't know. I just have this feeling like, gosh, this is going to continue.
And who sings that song? I got a feeling tonight's going to be a good night. That's going to be Saturday.
Well, you know what? It's funny, dog. I've been playing all week long, and I did this last week too. And I'm not really a superstitious person, but my gosh, if I've been bad. So all week I've been playing to start my morning Hell's Bells.
Nice.
And I've been playing the Rocky songs, Burning Heart, Man Against the World, all those fight songs.
Don't forget Hearts on Fire. That's a good one. That's a good training montage.
Yes.
Hearts on Fire one.
Yes, I love that one. So I've been playing
No Easy
that.
Way Out. Yeah, the Rocky soundtrack's great.
Yep. Well, it's fitting. It's fitting. Well, look at where they're going. But I just, the Hell's Bell song, which, by the way, I'm starting to learn. I'm trying to get better on that on the guitar. I won't be ready for this year, but by next year I'll definitely have that song down. But I've been playing that over and over. And my husband's like, "Will you play something different?" So I'm like, "No, I got to learn this song."
Yeah, that's a great song. You don't need to play anything.
I love it.
That's a great one.
I love it, and it's getting easier for me. My fingers are all cut up because of it, but that's okay. Worth it. So. It's been a load of fun. All right, listen, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, if you have questions, pop them into the chat box. You got Locked On Giants Live with Traina, Tainah, and the dog. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, small business owners, if you are looking for the right people to help your small business fire on all cylinders, you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs today. Post a free job listing in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hiring hashtag framed to your LinkedIn profile to let everybody know that you're hiring. Over 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn Jobs every week and are just waiting to find opportunities with employers like your business. With LinkedIn Jobs, simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize whom you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So go ahead and post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Giants Live Playoff Edition.
Playoffs!
Traina, Tainah, and Dog.
I got my victory drink already.
What are you drinking?
It's amaretto.
Oh, okay.
We're ready to have Well, no,
You know-
Chris, what I do, I had to take a swig of it before the kickoff. I had to calm my nerves, so I have to take a sip of that before we kick off.
I have a Johnny Walker. I have the bottle of Johnny Walker Blue that when Justin Tuck retired, he gave out to all the media. I still haven't cracked that sucker open.
Yeah.
And I'm
You're
like,
going to crack it open after we win this game.
oh, I've been saving that for a special occasion.
Nothing
What
more
that
special.
special occasion is, I don't know,
playoffs.
but I've been saving
Super
that
Bowl.
one.
Super Bowl. When we win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris and I were texting back and forth after the Viking game. I said, all right, let's just win the Super Bowl.
Oh my
Let's just get it
gosh.
over with.
Yes. All right. Let's get to some of the questions here on Locked On Giants Live. We're going to kick it off with Talk with Zoe. Do you think Jalen's shoulder is going to be a cause of concern? Zoe, I don't think Jalen Hurts is even on the Eagles injury report. I don't recall seeing him on the injury report. So if he's not on the injury report, I don't think they're too worried about it. Now, I haven't seen him throw. I don't think their practices, the team portion of their practices, are open to the media, so I don't know how he's looked. I've asked, my Eagle colleagues, both Locked On and over at the Fan Nation, and they say he's going to be ready to go. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's going to be a concern. But the fact that he's not on the injury report, the fact that he hasn't been listed as limited, I would think it's probably not a concern.
I'm going to go into this game assuming he's going to be 100%, and I think that's what the Giants have to go in, assuming that he's going to be 100%. But if you're Wink, you got to test him out a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Knock him around a little bit. Maybe give him a couple of shots to that shoulder. See how
just drive him into the
close
ground.
to 100% he really is.
Yeah, and if he is 100%, hit him a couple times, he won't be.
Yeah. Early on in that game,
boy,
like
you got blood on the mind there, dog, huh?
Yeah,
it's football. Blood's always on the mind. But early on in that game, I agree with Bad Dog what he said earlier. I don't know if you're not going to do it throughout the entirety of the game, but early on in the game, send some pressure, knock him around a little bit. Even if he completes a passes, give him a couple of hits. Let him know that you're there. And then you got to find out if his shoulder's really 100%.
Right, because he's not the best under pressure. I mean, when you get pressure on Jalen Hurts, that's when he makes his mistakes. That's when it's a little bit more difficult. When he has all day in the pocket, he's going to kill you. I mean, there's no question because he's got receivers, and these guys are going to get open. I don't care who's out there. If you let Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown run around for 5 seconds, it's going to be impossible to cover him. And that's why it's so important for the Giants to get pressure, get it quick, and not allow him to escape and extend plays with his legs. Because if that happens, they're going to make plays. They've been doing it all year. Wink has to devise some kind of scheme to kind of try to squeeze him in the pocket and make him pass from there. And like Chris said, you hit him early, put it in the back of his head, where's it coming from? I got to get rid of it quicker, because that's any quarterback. You knock a quarterback around early in the game, they start to hurry throws even when there's no pressure there, because that clock goes off in their head. Hey, listen, I got like 2 seconds. Yeah. Now I got like 1.6 seconds. They must be coming, and they get a little gun shy. So again, it's also a mental aspect of football. So I think they got to try to get pressure on him early and knock him around a little bit, and test that shoulder out. Let's see how good that shoulder really is, by knocking him down a couple times.
And you mentioned pressure. Lane Johnson is dealing with that groin injury, if I'm not mistaken, right? So how effective is he going to be? Yeah. So, maybe there's room to.
I also don't think Avante
that's a
playing. I think Avante. Yeah, so that's a big one.
Actually, Maddox has been declared out. Yeah, he's the only one who got an injury designation. I'm looking at the injury report right now. So Lane Johnson was limited Tuesday, Wednesday was full Thursday. Linval Joseph, limited, full. Robert Quinn, limited, full. So those are really the ones that and the Eagles added a bunch of guys limited on Wednesday. I don't know what that was. Oh, they were they gave players rests. So, but Avante Maddox.
They need more rest. They just had a week off. Right?
Well, they gave them rests.
Good. Rest them some more. Rest them on Saturday.
Bradbury, A.J. Brown, Fletcher Cox, Landon Dickerson, Kelsey, Isaac Samalo, Darius Slay, and Josh Sweat all got rests on Wednesday.
I hope they all get rests on Saturday, too. They have a lot of time to rest after this one's over. Let's hope for that.
I mean, you just had a week off. What's with all the resting? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, unless they were doing stuff over the bye, which I don't think was the case. I mean, I don't know. But, Anyway, all right, let's see. Amazing guy wants to know, would you put a Dory on Smith and Moreau and a safety on Brown? What do you think, guys?
What would I listen? I don't think that I don't think it's gonna be as cut and dry as the Minnesota game. The Minnesota game, it was basically we're gonna double cover Justin Jefferson the entire game. I think this game, a lot of it's gonna have to do with one, how does Jalen Hurts look? Because if he is still hurt, he probably won't run as much. But I think there's gonna be points in this game where you have to dedicate an extra defender to spy Jalen Hurts. That has to be factored in.
Yep,
But you have to pick and choose your battles. Maybe you wait until he gets closer to the end zone inside the 20 before you start to do that. Otherwise, he's got guys that could beat you over the top for 50, 60-yard touchdowns if you have single coverage. So I think a lot of it's going to depend on where you are on the field in terms of where you want to send an extra defender. But they have so many weapons on this team with Hurts being one himself. It's going to be hard to consistently double any of these guys because they've got so many good weapons, whether it be Goddard, the two wide receivers, Miles Sanders, Hurts himself is a runner. So you'll pick and choose your battles here and there. But I don't think they're going to be double covering anybody exclusively throughout this game.
Yeah, Coach Gene is doing an article on the importance of the spy because he thinks that that's what they're going to do, that they're going to put a spy on Hurts to kind of keep him under wraps, so to speak, or under control. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see what he does. I think you're going to see because we haven't seen them spy Hurts in the first two games, if I'm not mistaken. So
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did.
Especially the last one.
The first one. So, all right, let's see. Anthony Bressler asks, do you think DJ's play is here to stay, or do you think it's possible that this could just be a 1 year, one and done type of hot streak that he's been on? You know what? I thought about that. And I
didn't get to read that. Could you pull it up one more time just so I know?
Sure. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Here we go.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was like, I did have that thought a while ago. If, would this be a one and done type of deal? But you know what? A lot of people, this kind of goes to a question that I get a lot about Mike Kafka and what happens if he leaves. I don't want Kafka to leave. Let's be clear about this. But this offense and these principles, most of it is from Buffalo with Daboll. So I don't think there would be that big of a drop off. The play caller obviously would be different. Maybe have some different philosophies and stuff that they like to do, but the concepts and stuff, I don't think are going to change all that much. If anything, the concepts will change based on, the personnel that they bring in, the new personnel. They're going to probably bring in some new receivers next year. You might see another tight end. You might see another running back. So that's where you start to tweak stuff. But the core philosophies, I think the system is set up to where Daniel can succeed so long as he's healthy. And if they can get him some additional talent, I think he can really take his game to the next level.
Yeah, to answer his question, I don't even think Daniel scratched the surface yet. I really don't. I think he's been limited all year with the surrounding parts around him and the fact that he's in a brand new offense, the fact that he has a limited offensive line that's gotten a little bit better over the course of the year. You figure Evan Neal will be better next year. You figure they'll get him another weapon in the passing game, and it'll be year two in this offense. Whether or not Kafka stays or not, I think Daboll's steering the majority of the ship offensively. So I don't even think we've seen close to the best of Daniel Jones yet. I really don't. I think he's going to be a much better quarterback next year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at what he's done in the first year of a new system, like Chris said, with a limited offensive line, especially in the interior. And we've dealt with a lot of injuries on that offensive line. On top of it, we dealt with so many injuries to the wide receiving core that the four guys he's throwing to now weren't the four guys he was supposed to throw to at the beginning of the year. I know Kenny Galladay's healthy, but he really isn't a part of the offense anymore. He did have a great block against Minnesota, which was awesome to see. But yeah, I mean, people talk about how the quarterback is, if he's really good, he elevates the players. And Richie James is going to be on another NFL team. Richie James has had a pretty good year. Yeah, he's had some drops, and he had the 2 punts against Seattle, but Richie James has been a go-to guy for him on third down. Richie James has had a lot of big catches, and Isaiah Hodgins is the guy that couldn't get on the field in Buffalo, and here he is playing like a number one receiver. Well, Darius Slayton's also had a resurgence. Again, the drop passes have hurt Darius Slayton, but he's had a resurgence. So Daniel Jones has a lot to do with these receivers playing as well as they are. But, if you could add a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who's a hot name around here, and you get a bona fide number one wide receiver that's a real threat, that guys are like, oh, now they got the number one guy. That's going to make all the other wide receivers better, and it's going to make Daniel Jones better. So, yeah, I agree. I think that Daniel Jones is only going to get better with time. He's matured a ton. That was the big thing. It's a big hang up for me was, can he develop, in the pocket? Can he have the pocket awareness? Can he feel that rush? Can he mature as a quarterback in between the years? And he has. And I think confidence goes such a long way with any player. And I think Daniel Jones is extremely confident in this play calling scheme, in this system, and with the players around him. So you get him better players, another year under it, he's just going to get more confident. He's going to become like an ultimate leader. I think he's going to be even better next year.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Joshua Cohen asks, what player would be used the most for the spy role?
The guy in your thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice, right? I'm thinking Landon Collins.
Yep.
Either Collins. I mean, now I saw somebody, when Collins' name was mentioned in the chat here, somebody said, well, he's not fast enough. But Collins has played that spy role in the past for the Giants, and I'm sure also for when he was with Washington. So it's not a role he's not familiar with.
Yeah, I could definitely see Collins being utilized in that role. And maybe they'll alternate players, but our linebackers aren't quick enough for sure.
And that worries me, by the way.
Yeah, and you don't want to take away McKinney from guarding Goddard or helping out in terms of one of the wide receivers. So Collins naturally makes some sense. I don't think Collins is going to be out there for every snap, but when he is, I could see him maybe in third and long situations, 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, where you're worried about Hurts being able to scramble and pick up the first time with his legs, being out there and trying to limit his, effectiveness with his legs.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to put something here from Doug Analytics because I want to ask you guys something off of this statement. Richie James is going to have to be the main target with their 2 good outside corners and elite pass rush. Do you see Richie James as being the guy in this game, or do you think maybe they do?
Good one. Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
It could be.
Yeah, I could see that. It's a good point by Doug, who does a great job on Twitter, by the way. Always love reading his analytical tweets. Yeah, that, you know what? He may be the most targeted receiver in this game because of what he just said. They have 2 really good exterior corners. James is a guy that could work the middle. Maybe Bellinger as well. Maybe utilize Barkley as much, maybe even more. I could see Barkley having another 60, 70-yard game through the air. I know he hasn't had a ton of those this year, but you've started to see them try to utilize him more as well. I could see Richie James having a pretty big game in this, especially now that they're going to be missing their slot corner. Richie James could be the guy that they target the most.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, again, Richie James has been a go-to guy a lot of times for Daniel Jones, especially if they want to get the ball out of his hands quickly, because the Eagles do have a really good pass rush. So that's where you're going to want to look. You're going to want to look at those 4 or 5 yard quick outs. I mean, that's one thing the Giants did well against Minnesota was they were very aggressive on first down. They passed a lot on first down. And while it wasn't 15 and 20 yard gains, it was 4 and 5 yard gains. Put them in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. Then they would get to 3rd and 2. The Giants can eat all day on 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3 because you can do anything you want. You can run Barkley, you can run Jones, you can pass the ball. There's so many things you can do because it's not a predictable down. But if the Giants are getting behind the line, if Barkley, they run him twice and it's 3rd and 12, well, no, not a lot of quarterbacks are going to succeed on 3rd and 12 anyway. But especially with the Giants, you have a weaker offensive line against a really good pass rush. That's not a good setup for us. We do not want to be at 3rd and 12. So I could see the Giants doing the same type of thing they did against Minnesota, where it's quick outs to Saquon Barkley or to Richie James or to Darius Slayton or whatever, getting in 2nd down and 5, playing ahead of the sticks. That's where the Giants are going to have to be. And if they can do that, they're going to succeed offensively. There's no question about it. But Giants got to play fundamental football. This is how we've gotten this far. No mistakes. We can't make mistakes. We are not good enough to overcome them. We didn't make any mistakes against Minnesota this time around. The first game we made plenty and we ended up losing. So the Giants just do what they've done all year and they take care of the football and they play smart football. They don't get big penalties and turn the ball over. They're going to win. I really believe that. Now, if we go in there and turn the ball over 3 times or, it's 3rd down and goal from the 3 and Barkley runs in for a touchdown and we get a holding and it's 3rd and 13, or, 3rd and goal from the 13, different story. Like those type of things take points off the board. So We got to be smart. We got to play fundamental. But if the Giants do that, I really do believe they're going to come out of here with a win.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, Mike wants to know, do we win if Saquon doesn't put up at least 200 total yards, excuse me, and 21 points? We have to keep the Eagles offense off the field.
I don't think he needs that. I mean, that'd be great if he has 200 total yards.
Yeah.
I don't, but I think this offense can, like Daniel Jones may have 80 yards rushing like he did last week. Which, by the way, his rushing stats were much better than the stats indicated because he had 4 kneel downs. So it said 17 carries for 78 yards. It was really 13 carries for like 82 yards.
Right.
But I mean, listen, it might be Jones. The Giants are probably going to have to rush for close to 200 yards as a team between Jones and Barkley and Breida, maybe 175. But I don't think Barkley needs to have 200 all-purpose yards. It would help. It would be great. And he's definitely the best weapon on this team. But as long, Jones, if Barkley's not going off with his legs, Jones has to. But that's what's so special about this offense right now. They're multifaceted. Jones is a threat with his legs if you're going to try to take away Barkley. If you try to take away Jones and spend extra attention that way, that's only going to assist Barkley. And if you really try to crowd the box, Daniel Jones could beat you with his arm. So they're a tough offense right now to guard against.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't have Saquon Barkley going off for 200 total yards against Minnesota. Now, granted, this is a different defense, but again, we were 3rd and 3 with short, quick, safe passes. 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. So the Giants can live like that because we had an 11-minute drive. We took up the entire second quarter. Now, it sucked that we only came out with 3. It would have been nice to finish with 7. But they kept that Vikings offense off the field. Barkley only carried the ball 9 times the entire game. So it's not like Barkley was the guy that was chewing up all the time. It was the 3rd down conversions. 3rd down conversions are when you can extend drives. That's what gets your time possession, no matter who's getting it, whether it's Jones, whether it's Richie James, whether it's Saquon Barkley, whether it's Daniel Bellinger, whoever's converting that 3rd down. That's the way you control the clock, converting 3rd downs. So, again, the Giants have to play ahead of the sticks and get in 3rd and manageables because then you become extremely unpredictable, especially with what Kafka and Daboll are doing now, opening up the playbook. So 3rd and 2, anything goes. You could see a flea flicker at that point. You could see a double reverse, an end around, some wildcat. I mean, who knows? 3rd and 2 is going to be tough. 3rd and 12 is an obvious passing situation. So we have to just keep playing ahead of the sticks. No negative plays.
Yeah, definitely. All right, listen, guys, I want to play a game here, and I want to get the chat room involved as well because this was suggested to me, and I thought it was a cool game, especially now that we're in the playoffs. So I wish we had done it last week, but we're going to start it this week. It's called the Competitive Edge.
Playoffs.
I'm going to go to the playoffs. All right, so I'm going to go down the list. Tell me who has the competitive edge at each position and why. Let's start with quarterback. Danny Dimes or Danny Dollars or Jalen Hurts?
All right, I'll start on this one. Well, I guess we'll all talk about it, right? Quarterback, I'm if all things are equal, I think Danny Jones is a better quarterback. I really believe that. I think obviously Jalen Hurts has had the better year, but look at the surrounding cast that Jalen Hurts has. We're going to go over all the advantages that he has when we do this game. But just as a quarterback, I think Daniel Jones is a better overall quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is playing way better than Jalen Hurts has the last few weeks. Yes, it's not a question. Jalen Hurts, a lot of his statistics came at the beginning of the year. He had a few games down the stretch where he didn't throw any touchdowns. So, and again, he's not healthy. So right now, I think the competitive edge goes to Daniel Jones, who's definitely playing better than Jalen Hurts. And Daniel Jones is hot right now. Daniel Jones is a confident quarterback, where Jalen Hurts, I say he's played one game in the last month, and we don't really know how much of that, what the game plan was or whatever, but he wasn't healthy. That wasn't the Jalen Hurts that we saw at the beginning of the year. Daniel Jones won a playoff game. We're playing with house money. I definitely think the competitive edge right there, I sound like Joe Judge right there. Daniel Jones.
Now what I'll say is if Hurts has all day to throw and Jones doesn't, of course Hurts is going to look better.
Well, I mean, in terms of body of work, I think like you said, Tainah, who has had more to work with? Hurts.
Well, here's what I'll say. When I'm evaluating these quarterbacks, I'm putting Hurts in Daniel Jones' situation, and I'm putting Daniel Jones in Hurts' situation. I don't think Hurts is able to do what Daniel Jones did this year with this New York Giants football team.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I really believe that.
So I think Jones is a better quarterback.
All right. So I think most of us agree that Jones, well, the three of us agree that Jones is the better quarterback. I know in the chat room, some people said Hurts, and it's not even close, but a few people have said that that they would go with Jones. All right, let's go to running backs now. Who has the competitive edge?
Barkley's a better running back than Miles Sanders.
And Boston.
You got to take all the running backs into consideration.
Well, and you also got to consider Hurts and Jones.
The whole position group.
We'll call it a wash. I mean, they got a great running attack too. It's a wash because Hurts is.
They have a great running attack because they have a great line, but there's no question Barkley's more talented than anybody.
I agree. Yes. I agree. I would say Hurts is slightly better of a runner than Jones, even though they're both great runners. I'd maybe give the slight edge to the Giants, but I'd call it about a wash.
By the way, speaking of the running game, I made a bold prediction. We had to do a Q&A exchange.
Is it the running game or the running back?
The running backs.
Oh,
we're talking positions.
Well, no, if it's just Sanders versus Barkley, I'm going Barkley.
Yeah. We had to do Giants Country and Eagles Today, which are the two Fan Nation sites. We did a 5-question exchange, and we had to do bold predictions. My bold prediction is that Boston Scott is not going to score. How's that?
Nice. That'd be nice.
It's good. I like
that. That guy scored what, 10 of his 18 touchdowns against the Giants? Not this week.
Part of me thinks they're just trolling us at this point. Anytime they have an opportunity to score, they're like, Boston Scott going. You got to keep it going.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right. Tight ends. Who's got the competitive edge?
Eagles.
Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
And I like our tight end, but he's not.
I do too.
Connor's one of the best tight ends in the league. So Bellinger's not there.
All right. So that's easy enough. Receivers, we got to say Eagles, I think.
Yeah, that's that. I don't think that one's close.
That might be the biggest mismatch in terms of unit for unit in this game.
Yeah.
Offensive line,
Eagles.
Yeah.
Might be an even bigger mismatch.
Defensive line,
Eagles. Even though we have a good one, Eagles. I mean, they got 70 sacks, and a lot of that comes from that defensive line.
Okay.
Linebackers. If you have all of our guys healthy, and I don't know what this. If you put Aziz and Kayvon Thibodeau and Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, I think it's pretty close. To be honest, our guys haven't been healthy all year. Hassan Reddick got a huge season.
For
the Eagles this year, but like Chris said, I'm not taking anything away from the Eagles' defensive line. It's very good, but I don't think it's like head and shoulders better than ours. We play in a lot of close games, so it's not.
Our defensive line is excellent. I mean, Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence are as good as it gets in the interior.
Dexter's having just an amazing year.
Yeah, and we got good edge. Well, we don't know if Aziz is going to play. So I don't. By no means.
I mean, if there's I think the Eagles might have the edge, but it's very small.
But the other thing I'll say is their depth on the defensive line is so much better than ours.
Yeah,
like they sprinkle in it. Like Jordan Davis, their first round pick, only plays like half the snaps. Like they have a lot of depth on that defensive line too. So, as much as I hate to say it, I got to give them the edge. I give them the edge on both sides of the line.
Yeah, definitely. So linebackers, we're talking off-ball linebackers. I think you got to give it to the Eagles, right?
I think you could give that to anyone against our linebackers.
Yeah.
I'm not really thrilled with our interior linebackers.
Yep.
So.
Defensive secondary. You want to break it down cornerbacks and safeties, or you just want to group it all together?
I think we win the safeties. I think they win the cornerbacks.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Special teams.
Got to be better than ours. I mean, our kicker's probably better.
Yeah.
But
yes.
But the
our
rest
special teams aren't any good. You know what's great about this? Luckily, they don't play the game on paper.
Yes, but it was an interesting suggestion. I thought it would be fun to kind of do a competitive edge. So
and there's a reason they were 14-3 and we were not 7-1.
There's a reason that Jalen Hurts looks like an MVP because he plays for that team, and there's a reason, So
and that team's stacked.
They're stacked.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
But it means nothing on Saturday. That means nothing.
Look, that's why you line up and you play the game.
Look at like I said, 2011. Were we better than the Packers on paper? Probably not. Were you better than the Cowboys in 07? Were you better than the Patriots in 07? No. But what happened?
Coaching. All right. One. This is the last one, guys. Coaching. Who's got the edge?
Giants. And listen, I got respect for the Eagles, but I don't watch the Eagles like I watch the Giants. Eagles fans complain about their defensive coordinator all the time. They can't stand him.
They don't like the defensive coordinator either.
Yeah, that's what I said. Defensive.
Oh, I'm
coordinator.
sorry. I
Yeah,
thought you said offensive.
yeah, they hate their defensive
They don't like
coordinator.
Gannon one bit.
I mean,
interesting.
Sirianni's obviously done a good job so far, but yeah, the overall the coaching I think has
Number
to go to the
one, he
Giants.
goes to Daboll. Sirianni's Italian and he's eating Pizza Hut or Domino's, whatever it was. I don't care that he's eating it during the Giants game. That's got nothing to do with it. The fact that the man is Italian and he's eating Domino's or whatever the hell it was, you don't do that. You don't eat Domino's if you're Italian. Come on. So right away, Daboll has the edge because I can look at Daboll and know he
likes steak, right?
What's that?
He likes steak and he likes a good cigar afterwards.
Yeah, he probably likes to, wash down a couple of cold ones. Good on Coach Dabes.
I think
Coach
he said
of the
that
year.
once. I think he said that. Yeah, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a beer and a cigar.
Yeah,
he did.
Go, man.
Listen, he's the coach of the year. Brian Daboll's a coach of the year, so he's definitely the best coach. And coaching is one of the most underrated aspects of the playoffs. Your best coaches win at this level. Doug Peterson, for all of his faults, and sometimes I swear it's like, what are you doing? You question. But Doug Peterson's a pretty good coach. Okay, that's why they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as their quarterback. That's why Jacksonville's where they are. We saw Trevor Lawrence last year look completely lost under Urban Meyer. This year, massive step up. So thank God for Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville. They dumped Urban Meyer when they did because he would have killed Trevor Lawrence. And then it goes back to coaching. And again, I should know this with Daniel Jones because Trevor Lawrence looked terrible last year. Why? Because Urban Meyer's a terrible coach.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Peterson's not. So, Andy Reid. How many times has Andy Reid been in the postseason? Shanahan. These guys are there all the time. So, who's a guy? Buffalo, McDermott. McVay had a bad year this year, but McVay's always really good coaches win in the postseason.
And look at what Doug Peterson did with Evan Ingram. Finally got him to play well.
Just catches the ball. He did this in New York. He just never finished a play. He was always open. He's never finished.
Yep.
Coaching
matters. Daboll should be, in my opinion, coach of the year. Who's done more with less?
Nobody.
Than he has.
He's a coach.
He's had injuries. First year. Sirianni. People say, "Oh, what about Sirianni?" It's his first. His second year now in the same.
He had an AJ Brown,
and that roster is loaded. Come on.
We had no cap space going in here. We couldn't do anything.
Right.
It's a team that won 22 games in the last 5 years combined. They won 9 games this year.
Now 10, if you count the playoff.
Now 11 after Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly obvious with this team when you look at it. If we're gonna win, Daniel Jones is gonna have to play out of his mind. Which him playing out of his mind is not going to be 300 yards and 75 yards on the ground because this is a completely different defense. But he's going to have to be big in crucial moments. He's going to need crucial third down conversions. He's got to hold on to the football, and he's got to be able to score when he gets his opportunities inside the 20.
Yeah, we got to score 7 points, not 3 in this game.
Yeah, he's going to have to play great in this game. I don't think his stats are going to be the same because I think it's a different type of opponent and game, but he's got to play great. And the coaching is we have to severely outcoach them in this football game.
And stats don't always tell the whole story.
No, they don't.
We absolutely destroyed Indianapolis. He had 177 yards passing in that game. So stats, people that just look at stats aren't, to me, they're not watching the entire football game because a lot of people say, oh, well, Jones is no good. He only do 15 touchdowns. Well, that's because that was by design, and how many drops? Daniel Jones had 301 yards passing in that game. How many times did receivers drop the pass? Darius Slayton's probably still running if he catches that pass.
Sure, he's at the end of the game.
So Daniel Jones' stats, do they look great with 15 touchdowns in 16 games? No, but again, a lot of that's by design. And how many times did his receivers drop the ball on him? So that's always needed. He doesn't need touchdowns. He also ran for 7 touchdowns. When you're talking about Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, those numbers seem to matter for those guys. But for some reason, 708 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground means nothing for Daniel Jones. It's he just threw for 15 touchdowns. Nobody pays attention to the fact that he ran for 700 yards this year.
Yeah.
So, if Daniel Jones goes out and has a game where he throws for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, and runs for 60 yards and scores a touchdown,
it's a great game.
But you know what? That's the argument that his critics like. I've gotten emails saying, "Oh, Daniel Jones, he sucks. They should move on from him because he doesn't throw enough touchdowns. He doesn't throw for over 300 yards consistently." And I'm like, that's not everything. It's really not. I'm like, what's his 1-loss record this year?
Right.
How many come from behind game, drives has he engineered?
6.
You know,
The one in
what's his
Minnesota, we ended up losing, but he
Yeah.
drove it down.
What's
We were
his
down by 8.
turnover rate? What's his turnover rate again? How many balls has he lost? So, I mean, there are improvements. And sometimes, look, Tony Romo, when he played, he was a fantasy football owner's dream. He racked up the stats like there was no tomorrow. What did he have to show for it? Somebody remind me, please.
One playoff win and a muffed extra point.
Okay.
That's right. Against Seattle.
I rest my case. Stats aren't everything, folks.
They're not. They're half the story.
Wins.
I always said stats are for fantasy football players and losing football teams. Because if you win, who cares? The only stat that matters is winning. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if Daniel Jones throws for 84 yards in this game and we win 17-10? I don't care. I want to win. This isn't about a player. This is about a team. Now, granted, the quarterback's the most important player on any team. But as long as we win and he does enough to make us win, I don't care. He don't need it to over 400 yards. This guy does not need to be Patrick Mahomes. He needs to be the best version of Daniel Jones. We saw that against Minnesota. That's the best for that. Well, he might actually be better than that. But that's the best version we've seen of him so far.
He looked like Justin Herbert last week.
I was going to say, Chris, that was an elite performance. That was an elite quarterback performance. That was a top 5. You put that with any Mahomes game, any Josh Allen game, any Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow game. That's right up there.
I got something for you, Bad Dog, because we've gotten asked this for years now. Who does Daniel Jones remind you of in terms of the type of quarterback that he is? And the people when we drafted him said Alex Smith, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, Alex Smith was on.
And I see it somewhat, but Jones has a bigger arm than Alex Smith. I thought Rich Eisen came up with I never thought of it. And I don't know if you heard me mention this week. Never thought about it. Oh, I think I did mention it too when we did the Phillies podcast. Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
Now Kaepernick had a stronger arm, but when he said it, and I thought about it, and I thought about the way that Daniel Jones played from within that game last week. Jones is a more refined passer than Kaepernick was. Kaepernick has a stronger arm.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to find a quarterback that's identical. But in terms of his skill set, when he said that, I'm like, that makes sense. I could see that. I could see him playing a similar type of quarterback to what Colin Kaepernick was, but I think he's a more refined passer.
Yeah. Kaepernick was just inaccurate, and he had a hard time making the adjustment back. When he first came in the league and nobody had tape on him, he destroyed everybody. But once they kind of made that adjustment to him, he had a harder time, and he wasn't the most accurate. But he had one of the strongest arms. I mean, I never watched so much Nevada Wolfpack football in my life as when Colin Kaepernick was there, because he was so much fun to watch. He really was. His skill set was amazing, but he just had a harder time adjusting to defense. He kind of went down pretty fast after teams got some film on him. Well, teams have film on Daniel Jones, and you're seeing Daniel Jones go the other way.
Yeah.
But I mean,
from a physical skill standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Kaepernick had a great skill set. So
people say Steve Young.
Kaepernick's faster too. I mean, Colin Kaepernick could fly.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting comparison. That's one I would have never thought of.
Neither did I. But when I thought about the game, I'm like, he did play like Colin Kaepernick in that Vikings game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would thought back to that playoff game against the Packers. I'm like, yeah, he did play like him.
Yep.
Yeah. Folks, don't forget, pop your questions into the chat box. We'll get to them as we go along. Guys, what do you think is the X factor in this game this weekend? What's the one thing we're not talking about that we probably should be talking about a little bit more?
X factor. I mean, my X factor, it's not sexy, but it's what I think needs to happen if we're going to win.
Control the clock.
Well, for sure. But on defense, I think we have to win on the interior part of the line. We have to, and that's going to be a big challenge. But we've got to win on the interior part of the line on defense, because, like we said earlier, I worry about the edge rushers overcommitted, because they have to fill the gaps. They can't let Jalen Hurts take off and kill him with their legs. So they got to be patient on that. And now there's going to be times where they're going to go after the quarterback, but I think the interior part of that line disrupt Hurts, flush him out of the pocket, and maybe you rush him into Kayvon's arms on the outside. But I think the interior part of our defensive line is the biggest X factor. If we're going to be able to create turnovers in this game, Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams are going to have to win their matchups.
Yeah, and I think they will, by the way. Dexter he's fired up. Again, that quiet confidence. You could just see it. It's like oozing out of their pores. It reminds me of 2007. I remember Antonio Pierce and how he walked around the locker room that year, and he just had that confidence. He wasn't
quiet confidence.
Yeah, that quiet confidence, and you could feel it. You could sense it. It was like a buzz that was building up to a crescendo, and then they went out and they took care of business every week, all the way through to the Super Bowl, and it was just really, really cool to see. I thought.
For me, X factor on both sides is Giants got to win on first down.
Yeah,
The Giants have got to win on first down in this game. We have got to get ahead of the sticks. Like I said, if that's Barkley getting 3 yards where there's no hole and pushing forward to getting second down and 7. There's quick passes like we had against Minnesota, second down and 5. We have to win on first down. We can't be sitting there putting ourselves in a hole, not against this pass rush, not with our interior offensive line. First down is extremely important. It's also important for us to stop them on first down because the same thing. The Eagles get to 3rd and 2. It's impossible to stop the quarterback sneak, and they have a very extravagant offense with incredible players. We have to put them in obvious passing situations, and it's still going to be tough to stop them. But the Giants offense and the defense, they've got to win on first down. We have got to be in plus situations throughout this game, and we have to make it difficult, more difficult for that offense to convert third downs because that's where the time possession is going to be won. We win time possession and keep them off the field like we did in Minnesota, we're going to have a better chance to win. The way you do that is by getting to 3rd and 2. The way you get to 3rd and 2 is by getting to 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. So I think winning on first down on both sides of the ball is a big time X factor. And if the Giants can do that, like I said, man, we're walking out of here with a W.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to take our final commercial break. Then it's all your questions and some other thoughts as we get you ready for the playoffs. The playoffs. Dog can't wait. I mean, this is going to be awesome. So hang around, guys.
Wait till next week. We're talking about the NFC Championship game over here.
All right. Well, one game at a time, man. So hang out, guys. We'll be right back. Hey, Giant fans. We're all trying to eat healthier now that it's the new year. And if you haven't tried Built Bar yet, you're missing out on a really healthy and delicious treat. Built Bars are covered in real milk chocolate. They have multiple flavors available in nut and nut-free variety, and they are so good for you. They're low in sugar and carbs, and they're high in protein. You will really enjoy the taste of these bars. They don't taste anything like the chemically created protein bars that other companies make. These are pure milk chocolate covered bars with a lot of goodness packed inside. And what's also great about Built Bars is that they're made with collagen protein, which provides a ton of health benefits. So eat something that tastes good this year and is good for you. And now you don't have to wait anymore for your box to ship from Built. Simply stop in at your local Walmarts or Sam's Club and grab yourself a box of Built Bars, the delicious tasting treat that is sure to satisfy your sweet tooth. Hey, Giant fans, thanks for making the Locked On Giants podcast your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you local insights you love to the national spotlight with daily conversations on the biggest NFL stories. Locked On NFL, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, everybody, welcome back to Locked On Giants Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. You got Traina, Tainah, and Dog. And we're talking playoffs.
The playoffs.
And we hope to be
great to talk playoffs
again next week. And the week after that, and the week after that. But first, one game at a time. Eagles.
Doesn't get any bigger than this one, guys and gals.
Giants, Eagles, Saturday night. I mean, guys, could you have scripted? I mean, I got to tell you, everybody knows, and everybody who's followed me knows that I'm not a fan of night games. I hate them with a passion because, of the workload that I have to do afterwards. Now, and you're doing everything, and it's a long day and whatnot, and stuff happens and whatnot. But I'm fired up for this one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep.
Yeah, I probably.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep after this.
Knowing the way the Eagles looked, say midway through the season. This is like a dream scenario for me as a Giants fan. If you would have told me like week 8 or 9, Chris, you're going to be in the second round with an opportunity with your team that nobody expected to even sift the playoffs this year to ruin their season in front of everybody on prime time, Saturday Night Football, you're playing your best football going in. They're kind of playing their worst. This is a dream scenario for me because I actually think we legitimately have a chance to win this game. I'd put our chances at least 35%. Like, I think we have a legitimate chance to win this football game.
I think so too.
And I'm amped up for it. I really am. I'm amped up for it.
It's going to be so loud. I'm telling you, that stadium can get loud.
Take them
It's
out.
going to the noise. The press box. They usually insulate the press box, make it soundproof. We try to make it soundproof, but sometimes it gets so loud. And I've been in that stadium where it has gotten so loud between the noise and the vibration of people stamping their feet and clapping. It's like you think that you're having an earthquake or something like that. And I can just imagine what the environment's going to be like Saturday night. I mean, it's going to be wild. And, I just hope win, lose, or draw that everybody's safe, that there's no, fights or anything that break out, because sometimes stuff happens in these games. And, I just hope everybody remembers at the end of the day, it's a game. It's not, life or death.
Right.
Right.
But the Eagles Giants playoffs is pretty close.
It really is.
Pretty
It really
close.
is. I mean, those of you who are in the chat room, I don't know if you're going to the game Saturday, check in. Let me know if you're going to the game. It's going to be, I haven't written this article yet, but I think the average get-in price is it's $700, something like that. I'd have to look it up, but over on SI, we do SI tickets. I do a weekly article. It's like the second highest get-in price this weekend. So,
wow. Yeah, I saw. Yeah. I'm not going, but I was curious to see what the prices were. I saw them for like $300.
If I had that.
Like that's the cheapest is $300.
So Dallas, San Francisco.
Let me see if I have the article or the stats, and I'll tell you exactly what it was. This is based on SI. Here it is. I found it. So this is SI tickets. So the average get-in price is $719. The maximum is $2,818.
Yeah, I just went on
for Jaguars and Chiefs, the average is $494. The max is $1,671. Cowboys at Frisco is that's the most expensive one.
Yeah.
The average is $1,139 and the max is $5,751. And then for those who care, the Bengals and Bills, the average is $398 and the max get-in is $1,684.
That's going to be a good game too.
That's the best game, I think.
But that Cowboys Frisco game, that by far is the granddaddy of them all, and then followed by the Giants, Eagles, NFC East. What the NFC East is rules. They rule.
Yes, right. Did you see the get-in price for Dallas Giants? Imagine that. All I can think to myself is what a year would be.
Dallas Giants or Dallas Eagles, either one of those, the price would be. But
that price would be insane. Yeah. I know the regular season game between Dallas and Philly at the end there, or not the end, towards the end of the season, that one was pretty high. I think that was the highest.
Dallas Giants, though, I think would be the most because it would be in Dallas, and we know that the prices at that stadium are outrageous to begin with.
Yeah,
because so that the prices for that game would just be outrageous if the Giants Cowboys met up.
Well, anything to get into the palace that is Jerry's World. And then that place, I told you guys about that place. Like I was there I've been there several times, but I was there for the grand opening, and they did it up so fancy that the paper towels that they had in the restrooms were gold lined.
Yeah.
All right, gold lined paper towels.
That was the first game ever there.
What's that?
That was the first ever game there.
First ever game.
Yeah. Eli opened it very well.
Yeah, I remember.
Eli opened it very well.
Yeah.
They never take that away from us.
Yeah, that was legendary for sure. But that was wild, man. Gold. I actually brought a couple of those. I probably still have them someplace, but I brought them home because my husband didn't believe me. I said they're gold lined paper towels. He goes, "Get out! They're bathroom towels." I'm like, "They're gold lined. They were the thick kind."
Sounds just something like Jerry Jones would do.
Oh, absolutely. Now, over the years, they've kind of moved away from that, obviously, because, you talk about a waste of money. But, hey, listen, if that's what they want to spend on, who am I to tell them how to spend, right?
Yeah.
So
Jerry can afford it.
Yeah. Oh, well, did you see they want? I think they want to make renovations to that stadium too. I
Did
thought
they
I
get
saw
a bigger
something about-
TV?
Maybe they need a bigger scoreboard. I
They
don't
just
know.
built it. Like it's like how was it? 10 years old?
I think
Yeah.
so.
13, right?
I
2009.
wonder if they'll ever make the only renovation I know they're making in MetLife is the field. They're switching the field out, but other than that, you know.
No,
So,
I think it's just a field.
but
I also
MetLife's-
heard they're switching up to large sodas this year.
All right, guys. Also about this game,
What did they do for season ticket holders this year? I never heard what they
What did they do with the what?
The season ticket holders, like the fan appreciation. Last year, they made a big deal about the medium
Well,
soda.
you know what? I think they did something last year because of the way things were going, and they
Oh,
wanted to.
so they went with the
But
medium.
I know a couple people asked me if there was going to be any kind of send off for the Giants tomorrow. The Giants take the buses down to Philly, so to my knowledge, there's no pep rally or anything like that. I kind of wish the Giants had something because I think a lot of people would have showed up and taken the day off and to see them off. But to my knowledge, there's nothing. There's nothing planned. It's just tomorrow is Blue Friday, so they're encouraging everybody wear blue. They have some events I think around the area with the alumni and whatnot, but they've been doing stuff all week long with this Our Way promotion that they're running, and hopefully they'll get to keep it going next week. That would be really cool. And I'll try and get. I think I've got an extra shirt lying around, so if I get an extra one of those Our Way shirts and they're still in the playoffs next week, maybe I'll do another giveaway on my Instagram account. So you'll want to be following me on Instagram. Those of you who don't have the Instagram account, there it is. At Patty Traina is my Instagram account. My Twitter account at Patricia_Traina. So make sure you're following me for details, as well as I've been posting like pictures and audio clips and all kinds of stuff related to the game and whatnot. So check all that stuff out on Instagram. Really trying to beef up social media for the playoffs and then going into the off season the next year. So
awesome.
So definitely check that out. All right. Other questions. Let's get back to some of these questions. Mark B, what Giant legends are going to the game? I know Eli's going. I think Justin Tuck is going. I believe Tiki Barber is going.
That should be Hall of Famer Tiki Barber.
Well, yeah, we had this this discussion. I don't know who else is going. I know those three for sure.
Strahan can't because he does the
I don't think Strahan's going.
He's got to do the pregame, right?
I heard about
Brandon
Tiki and
Jacobs
Eli.
might be going because I think he's in town actually. So maybe he goes.
Maybe Lawrence Taylor. He was at the game I went to against.
Oh, that would be that would be nice. I wanted to tweet that, and they told us not to tweet that out, but I knew LT was going to be at that game, and I was like,
Carl Banks will be at the game. He's doing radio, right?
Carl Banks will be at the game. That was a great. So I was at the game, the Colts game, and I was shocked when he came out of the tunnel, Lawrence Taylor. I was so amped up because they did the player introductions, and he didn't come out right away. Like they did whatever they were doing on the field for 2 or 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden you see all the fireworks going off, and you see Lawrence Taylor run out of the tunnel with all the smoke. I was like, oh my god!
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome. I mean, I watched rehearsal for that, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh man, the fans are gonna go ballistic when they see this."
Yeah,
and everybody was just so fired up.
Gary Collins ought to go to the game since that's the last time we beat the Eagles.
Somebody said, Carl Banks. Carl Banks is on the radio team.
Yeah, he's
so
on the radio.
He's definitely going to be there. So
but Gary Collins should go. Right? We swept. We beat the Eagles 3 times.
Remember, some of the legends are going to be back at the studio at MetLife. I think Amani Toomer. I don't know. They rotate guys. O'Hara might be there. So yeah, there's different guys that hang around back there, and so I'm not sure exactly who other than the three I mentioned, but I'm sure there'll be guys that are going. Everybody's going to be tuned in. Everybody's going to be tuned in. I mean, gosh, how can you not? That's the only game that's going to be on. That's worth watching, in my opinion. So, yeah. That should be a lot of fun. So, and again, if you guys are going, I mean, in the chat room, weigh in and be careful, please. Philly can be dangerous. I even had them come after me once. I think I told you guys that story,
right?
Told
me the story,
yeah. I mean, thankfully nothing happened, but it could be scary. And then South Philly, as it is late at night, not exactly the place you want to be hanging out on a corner, especially if you're waiting for a cab.
Right.
So all right. I'm looking for some questions here. Let's see if we have anything here. Yes, Christy, they came after me. For those who haven't heard the story, what happened was I went to a Giant Eagle game once, and I got dropped off on the wrong side of the stadium, so I had to walk all the way around. And there were, I didn't have any markings of, because you're not allowed to wear that if you're in the media. But I had, my bag, my laptop bag, and these guys were tailgating, and one of them came up to me, and they said, "Hey, you want to hang out with us?" And I said, "No, thanks. I gotta go to work." And they were just kind of harassing me the whole way, and I'm like, I'm pretty much, I keep to myself. I don't talk to strangers and all that stuff, but this guy was getting really obnoxious, and finally I just said, "Dude, piss off," So, pardon my French, but yeah, it was interesting. And now I make sure when I go to Philly that the cab driver drops me off right in front of the media entrance. I'm like, "Don't drop me off on the other side. I don't care if I got to pay a little extra to go around the block here. Drop me off in front of the media entrance, because I don't want to have to walk through the parking lot." And
Disgusting city. Disgusting.
the center part of town, the central part is not too bad. Where the Giants are staying, where I've stayed for night games, it's not too bad, actually.
Disgusting.
No, it really isn't. I mean, I know we're anti.
Patty. Their most famous statue is of a fictitious movie character. It tells you everything you need to know about that city.
And the funny thing is that the actor's from New York.
He's from New York, and they didn't. And they have one of the greatest boxers of all time that comes from that city. They don't have a statue of Joe Louis, but they got a statue of Rocky Balboa.
But what was so funny? My husband and I actually spent a weekend years ago. We decided to spend a weekend in Philly. Why, I don't know, but we did. And I remember we were coming back from someplace, and there was this kid hanging out there in the hotel, and he decided he wanted to be a panhandler. So he comes up to me with his hand out, and he says, "Can you spare some change?" So I just looked at him, and I always wanted to say this to a panhandler, because I believe if you can walk and you can talk and get a job, even if you get a minimum wage job, you can do something. So I just looked at the kid and I said to him, "What the heck do I look like, an ATM? Go get a job." And he just started laughing.
Joe Frazier, by the way, my mistake.
My husband's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he said that."
I said Joe Louis. I meant Joe Frazier. They corrected me in the chat. He's from Philly, but they got a statue of Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
That's because Joe Frazier. That's because Joe Frazier ducked Apollo Creed in the first Rocky, so they didn't. You've been ducking me, Joe.
All right, Giant Mafia.
You next.
Giant Mafia asked, "Do you think the Giants should come out in a soft zone to limit big plays, since Philly is one of the best teams at big plays, or commit to the run?"
I think they got to be aggressive.
I think so too. You got to be aggressive.
They got to try. I think you have to see if you can get there. And if you can, then you can start to disguise your blitzes and bring different types of exotic blitzes. But if you get beat early and often blitzing, you might have to back out of it a little bit. I think this time, because he wasn't aggressive against Minnesota, so maybe this time he is. Maybe Philadelphia's looking at that Minnesota game. Well, he didn't blitz here. And maybe this time Wink's like, "All right, I'm going to send the house a lot and just try to send a message early to Jalen Hurts, and maybe rattles him a little bit." I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know how much Wink's going to blitz, but I do think Wink will be aggressive early on in this game.
Yeah.
No pick and choose. We're definitely going to run some zone, though. Be prepared for that. We're going to run some zone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They got really good weapons, and our corners are not the best. So they're going to run some zone, but they're going to pick and choose. But, I think they'll be selectively aggressive throughout the game.
Yeah, I think you can't look. You got to leave it all out on the field. If you play soft or you hold back, don't worry about if you advance, that you emptied out your playbook. Just come at them.
Yeah,
come at them.
You don't need to save it for anything. There's no tomorrow if you lose, so leave it all out in the field.
Absolutely,
everything.
All right, I saw this question, and I apologize. I should have put on, but somebody asked about coin toss stats. I went looking for it. I think, what's that stat site I use? is it team? Yeah, it's teamrankings.com might have it. I don't know if they do or not. I haven't checked, but I know they have like post buy because I looked that up and I looked at a few other stuff, a few other things. That's a pretty good site, but it's the site is teamrankings.com. So they might have the stats for whoever asked me about, coin.
What do you mean by
toss.
coin toss? Deferring? Like
what when somebody wins the coin toss, who ends up winning the game, I'm assuming.
I could probably find it. You said what site is it on?
I think you can find it on teamrankings.com I think it's under like betting and pool picks or something like that. That's where you can find, how people have done against the point spreads. Let me see.
I can tell you who's won the most coin tosses. The Eagles this year have.
That I was able to pull up. That's on the lines, I think, or something like that. Because I went and I Googled that, but I was trying to find the actual thing. Oh,
the Giants are 9-7.
So Pete I says they recently took the Rocky statue down. Is that I didn't know that. So
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Let me see. People have also said, the big debate about cheesesteaks. You know what, guys? Not to be obnoxious, but I make a pretty good cheesesteak myself.
Do you?
And I don't use the steakum stuff. I use like if we have like flank steak, I'll use leftover flank steak or something like that. Sometimes I'll make chicken, leftover chicken cheesesteak. So yeah, I mean, I've heard the debate, Pat's or Geno's, who has the better one. I'm not a big fan of cheesesteaks, but when I do make them, I'm told they're pretty good. I mean,
maybe you should move to Philly.
Oh God, no!
Make a fortune.
No.
The only thing Philadelphia in my house is Philadelphia cream cheese.
What about Philadelphia? I got toilet paper, Eagle toilet paper.
I should get some of that. When my son was born. My son was born. People are like, "Oh, bad dog, I'm gonna send you some, Eagles gear." I'm like, perfect. We need spit up rags. I could always use spit up rags or wipes or whatever. I'm like, that's perfect. Yeah, send the Eagle stuff to my kid. My buddy Johnny is always on. He's a great Eagle fan. And he's always like, little bad dog's gonna be an Eagle fan. I said, little bad dog already knows not to like the Eagles or Cowboys. He knows this is in his blood. Because he was asking me about this the other day. Dallas was playing, and he goes, "We don't like them, right, Dad?" I said, "No, we hate the Dallas Cowboys." I said, Papa, Papa in heaven taught your dad. He taught me it's about the Giants. I say, great grandpapa in heaven. He was also a Giants fan. This is your blood, buddy. This is what we do. We're Giants fans. We do not like Dallas and we do not like Philadelphia.
Yes.
So he learns. Teach them right. I said, Giants and Yankees, buddy. Anything else, I don't care. Because those are in my bloodlines. The rest of the teams I root for weren't. I just chose them because they were New York teams.
Right.
But he knows.
All right. Here's an interesting question. What do you guys think of letting Saquon return kickoffs for this game? Maybe he can pop one. 2 words for you, my friend. Adoree Jackson.
The only here's what I'll say. Now, if it's like a spot in the game, like late in the game, maybe. But I could see it as like a desperation. But even then, I don't think they'll do it. So my answer to you overall is no. I don't think they'll do it.
I wouldn't even try it.
I'll be honest, if they brought Barkley back there for a kickoff return, they could just kick it out of the end zone and it really wouldn't matter. He's not going to return punts. I don't think he ever did that. I know he returned kickoffs at Penn State, but I don't think he ever returned punts.
They're not going to do it.
Totally different animal. But I don't think they would do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Zamiti says, it seems like there's a lot of positive energy at practice. Have you noticed that? Yeah, Jordan, we were talking about that actually earlier in the show, how there's this quiet confidence. There's it's not cockiness. It's just confidence. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's like.
So you were there. You saw him dancing on the.
It reminds me of what it reminds me of is like when I was younger and I used to. I was playing the guitar back when I was younger and we'd have to go out and do recitals and I would get nervous for it. And then finally, my guitar teacher was like, just be calm, practice, make sure you know it, go through it mentally. And I would go out when I'd have to do the recital. And it was just like, I can't explain it, but I was so calm. I felt like my mind and my body detached from one another, and I went on autopilot, and I would get through it, and it would work out fine. So that's what it kind of reminds me of. This week the players are just so calm. It's like any other week. You wouldn't know that it was a playoff week if you didn't have the calendar in front of you, and if it wasn't for the increased media attention that the team is getting. The further it goes, the wilder it becomes.
I see a question in the chat from Jack Dalton. He says, I'll be traveling to the game for North Carolina. Any tips on how to deal with an Eagles fan? I've had the pleasure of never meeting one person. So Jack, I didn't tell you I deal with them. You turn your back and you walk the hell away from them, because there's really nothing good comes out of talking
Ignore
to an Eagles
them.
fan.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's a fact. They they're just a different breed.
It's not worth it. It really isn't. I mean,
honestly,
look, to be fair, let's be fair.
Not
all Eagle fans are bad.
No.
There are a lot of good people.
Of course. It's the same with every fan base.
Every fan base, even Giant fans, have a small fraction of people that you're embarrassed of, because they do something stupid.
It's funny. I say this all the time, and I believe this to be true. I think Eagle fans and Giants fans are extremely similar. They're both blue-collar cities.
Very passionate.
They love their team. They will stand up for their team, whatever. They have no problem criticizing their team either, because they just want to win, and they love their players. They love their team. And they're very obnoxious and loud, like we can be, like yours truly. I mean, that's just a New York thing. So I think that's one reason Eagles and Giants fans butt heads so much, is because we are so similar. I really do believe that, as far as passion for our team.
Here's the question.
We just don't throw batteries at each other, not that I'm aware of, but
or boo Santa Claus. Although
don't think anything
remember
serious.
Years ago, we had the snowball incident, which was kind of embarrassing.
Was that against the Chargers? Was that was
against the Chargers?
95? It was we
were
not against.
I remember watching that. I was like, "What in God's name?"
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
It was.
It really was. So you've got fans in every fan base that do stupid stuff. I mean, a few weeks ago there was that viral video at the Raiders game where some drunken woman was harassing a Patriots fan who had been there for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're great, but Oakland was another place that just Oakland's tough.
Didn't the Yankee fans do something really bad this past year too, where they threw stuff at an outfielder or something?
I was I believe that was early in the year against the Guardians, and I forgot who the guy was that they threw stuff at.
Every fan base has idiots. They
do.
It doesn't matter who the team is. Everything we're saying about Phillies for show, it's for fun. I don't actually think Philly's a disgusting city.
It's just we're just talking trash. I mean,
I've been to Philly several times. I actually like Philly. I like New York more, but I don't hate Philly.
Philly's not a bad town. It really isn't. I like going. I always. When I have to take a hotel room there, I always stay in the center part of the city, which is a nice area. There's some great restaurants up there, some museums and stuff. So I like Philly, and like you said, for the most part, the people are not, everybody's got this image of Philly just being like a zoo. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
The sports fans get passionate, and I get that.
It's just
I think, just don't provoke people,
It's good old-fashioned trash talk. And I mean, when you think of trash, you think of Philly.
Physical, then that's another story. Right? But yeah, exactly. All right. This is a funny one from Rob, who says, "Aren't you more famous for my baking skills like cookies than my cheesesteaks?" Actually, I'm an Italian woman, so I know how to cook. In addition to, writing and podcasting and all the other stuff. So yeah, I can, I take pride in it. Yeah. So do I cook as often during the season? No, because who's got time? But when I do, I don't get any complaints from the husband.
Right. You cook with love, it's good. But I can tell you this as an Italian, if you cook angry, that food don't taste nearly as good. And that is an absolute.
You got to.
If you're Italian, and you've prepared a meal, or somebody that is Italian has prepared a meal and it doesn't taste good, they're angry and they made it. It's very weird, but it's a fact. You could always tell when my mom was mad, that food didn't taste as good. When you cook it with love, it tastes amazing. I can say the same thing for me. If I'm cooking for myself and I'm mad or aggravated about something, don't taste as good. if I'm in a good mood, like the Giants beat the Eagles, I can tell you my food is going to taste great on Sunday, no matter what the hell I make. If it's ground turkey, it'll
I
taste
make a pretty mean Sunday sauce.
nice.
And I make it the right way. My grandma came from Sicily, and God rest her soul, she had some great recipes. She had them all up here, and from all the years of watching her do it. Now I can't quite replicate stuff that she does, but I can make a pretty good Sunday sauce if I do say so myself. That with
my grandmother was from Sicily as well, so.
Scott Young asked if they have a jail at the Eagles Stadium. I don't remember if they have one at the Link. I know they had one at the Vet because I just wrote an article about that. I don't think they have it anymore. They actually had a judge. If
they're
I'm not
animals, they're all disgusting humans. They should have jails at every section of that stadium.
Yeah,
that jail is a cage for all the animals.
There are a bunch of animals. They're not even humans that go into that stadium. So
yeah.
All right, Jordan Samiti wants to know if you were forced to eat one or the other, Pizza Hut or Domino's.
That's a good one.
Look, there's a pizzeria by me that I frequent. I mean, I go there at least 2 or 3 times a week because my husband loves pizza.
If I
had to choose between Pizza Hut or Domino's, I probably would go with Pizza Hut.
I'd probably just flip.
If I had to choose between the two,
I'd probably just flip a coin, Jordan.
But the pizzeria down the street from us, they've been getting my business for years because they are just that good. One of the hidden gems. And no, don't ask me who they are because I'm not going to tell you. Because if I tell you, everybody will hit them up.
If I had to pick, I'd pick Pizza Hut, but I'm not. I don't favor either one of them. I'd rather get real pizza.
Yeah. My son, he doesn't know any better. He's 5. When you're 5, you like Pizza Hut. I like Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I did too. I liked it when I was like 12.
So I would probably be Pizza Hut because
Pizza Hut is kind of special because I wouldn't say one of my first dates with my husband, but my husband and I used to go there a lot on dates, because it'd be like, hey, you want to go get pizza? Okay, sure. You want to go to Pizza Hut? And so we would go to Pizza Hut, and that was fine.
My wife and I went there on dates too. It was a long time ago. It was like 20 some odd years ago. But yeah, I remember going to Pizza Hut with my wife a couple of times. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was nice to just hang out and sit there, and he would order the pizza, and I'm like, because it's like, what kind of pizza you want? I like the thin crust. He likes the full-fledged pan pizzas, and I'm like, all right, just get what you want. I don't care. And I would just like pick at it and stuff like that because it wasn't horrible, but Domino's, I think they served it at the Super Bowl in 2011. I remember that they brought in Domino's pizzas, and I was hungry and I tried a piece and I did not care for it. Yeah. It's funny though, but when I was in college, we used to get Domino's like every other night.
Right.
And back then it was good. And I don't know if they changed the recipe or whatnot, but I'm not a fan of Domino's. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut, yes.
That's like me going to an Italian bakery and getting donuts. I used to know a truck driver always used to give me donuts from this Italian bakery up here, and I got spoiled on. I mean, I gained a lot of weight because I was eating donuts every freaking day, but I couldn't go back to Dunkin' Donuts. Like I had a Boston cream, and I love Boston cream donuts.
Well, so does my husband.
But I couldn't. I had a Dunkin' Donuts donut. I'm like, this is gross. This is not an Italian donut. This is not an Italian bakery donut. So I couldn't do it. So I guess it's kind of the same with pizza. You get really good pizza. Like I can never eat Pizza Hut again.
You mentioned Dunkin' Donuts real quick before we get back to the football stuff. You guys probably know I'm not a big fan of coffee. I don't really like it.
I don't know how that's.
But again, I did this last week before the playoff game. I think I did it on a Thursday. Did it again today. I ordered a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, a decaf coffee. This time I got a big size. It's actually pretty good. Burned my tongue on it, but it was good. So I got it.
Just get the regular coffee. If you're gonna go for it, why not get regular coffee?
The caffeine will just have me bouncing off the wall.
Too much for you. Yeah. Okay.
So I ordered decaf and I get it black and I drink it that way.
I want you to have some coffee before this game. Because I want you bouncing off the walls. I want you.
You know what, Doug?
Hip flexor and all. I want you out and after you. I want you ready to run through a wall,
dude. It's gonna be a late night. I suspect I will be heavy on the caffeine.
I love it.
I'm gonna have to. I mean,
just in case you need to get out there and knock Jalen Hurts around yourself.
I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, usually for night games, I will go for the caffeinated version, even though I really shouldn't. because then I can't sleep. I can't
You're not
sleep
gonna
that night.
sleep
But
anyway.
I'm gonna
So
put. I just remember like after the 2007 play, the Green Bay game. I'll never forget this. That was a night game. It started at 8:15, and I didn't finish work until I want to say 1:30, quarter to 2 in the morning. Got back to the hotel, and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to get to the airport by 4:30 because I was on the first flight out. Thank God, because the rest of the flights got canceled. So I did not sleep that whole day, and I was running on caffeine. And I by the time I got home, because I had to connect through Detroit to get back to Newark. By the time I got home, I remember coming into my office. I put my bags down. I sat in my chair and just fell asleep like that. Just fell asleep. My husband's like, "Go to bed. Go to bed." He's like, "Didn't you sleep?" I said, "No." I said 2:00. Got back to the hotel 2, and I had to get up at 3:30. How was I
Holy
going to
crap.
sleep? An hour and a half? Come on.
well, that cold would have kept you up. It was freezing. And
That was unbelievable. And that was the game when we went downstairs to the post game, the locker room. You actually had to walk outside because they had like a catwalk. So we went downstairs, and there were so many people down there, and it was hot. And I had a heavy winter coat on, obviously because it was so cold. And I'm standing there, and I thought I was going to pass out, and I almost did pass out. And one of the players saw me wobbly, and he quick got me some water, and he made sure he was putting his hand on my back so I wouldn't fall. And he's like, "You might want to take your coat off." So I undid my coat, and I was carrying it. But wow, that was awesome. I mean, it was cold though. It was freezing that
who
game.
can ever forget the vision of Tom Coughlin's
Oh.
face?
Oh my, it was so cold. I think I told you guys the story that the hotel that they had the media at was only a block and a half away from Lambeau Field. Not one person walked it.
No,
Not one.
It was negative
That's how
30 degrees
cold it
with the
was.
wind.
yeah.
The wind was bad, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I mean, that 2007 playoff run was fun. It had each game. I can tell you a fun story about the trips that we made from Tampa to Dallas, then to Green Bay, and then out to Arizona. That was, and I wrote about it. I had self-published like a journal because I kept a diary during the playoffs. And I don't know if it's still on, might still be on Amazon. And man, that was awesome. That was just, and that's what this playoff run now kind of reminds me.
Yeah, I want those
you know?
stories from Philadelphia to San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, just amazing. So lots and lots of fun. So Fabian asked Tainah, what's gabagool?
Gabagool.
Gabagool?
Gabagool?
What is that?
It's
Did I
from
miss that?
Sopranos, right?
Yeah. It's food. It's Italian.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, it's from The Sopranos. That's what made it famous. Why people always say,
I
"Where's the
never saw The
gabagool?"
Sopranos. Didn't have
You never saw The
HBO.
Sopranos?
I never saw it either. I just know that that's famous from The Sopranos.
You guys never saw The Sopranos?
I
No.
never saw The Sopranos.
I never.
Never.
HBO. I've said that before. People are like, you never saw The Sopranos? But I'm like, no, I've never.
Well, we didn't have HBO, so I never
Yeah, I
got
didn't have it
to
either.
So
You
and
can watch
I
it now.
just-
They have it on the. They have it. You got HBO now?
I still don't have HBO. I
I
have like
don't
every
have
streaming
HBO either.
service. If it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of that, I could probably watch
It's
it.
probably on the. I think it has to be.
I mean, I
Probably.
binged Breaking Bad. I know that.
You would love
Yeah.
Sopranos. You got to watch Sopranos.
Yep.
Never have time.
All right. Gabe
Too
wants to
busy
know who
covering
is
the Giants playoffs, baby. Playoffs.
Gabe wants to know who is the longest tenured beat reporter. All right. If we are talking overall, and I know I don't know if you consider him a beat reporter, but I think Tom Canavan of AP is one of the longest. One of Paul Dottino, who is more of on the Giants side. He's been there forever and has no plans to retire, I might add. He's crazy, by the way. I love the guy to death, but he's
He's a really nice guy. He
hilarious.
always talks to me on Twitter. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Let me see. Paul Schwartz has been there longer than I have.
He's with the Post, right?
For the Post. Well, Serby's a columnist, so he's not considered beat. Then I know I'm up there in terms of service. I'm going on 30. I'm 30 plus years in.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you're talking about non-Giants reporters, I would say Canavan, definitely. Schwartz, myself, and then after that, Tom Rock, he kind of he moved over to calmness. He would have been maybe behind there. Ralph Acciano was there before I was, but Ralph is, kind of like a floater between the four NFC teams. So yeah, a lot of the guys and gals that are on there now came well after the 2011 Super Bowl. So I've been there a while, definitely. So
You've seen a lot of good times.
yeah. I've got some stories I could tell. Some good times, some bad times. Just awesome. Just awesome. Pat Leonard, somebody asked about Pat Leonard. He came on a few years ago. So he I don't know if it's 10 years. I kind of lose
Where did he come from before that? Hell?
Pat Leonard?
Yeah.
He was the Ranger. Wasn't he?
I'm just messing around. I'm messing around.
Rangers. He replaced Ralph, actually.
I'm just
Ralph
messing
went
around.
to SNY.
I'm messing around.
So let me see. Doug Analytics says the Tino's going to outlive all of us. That guy is he's a freak. I love the Tino to death because he's hilarious. And if you think I'm a trip, the Tino's worse. So yeah, he's devoted. So it's just really cool. Gabe asked, "What's it like talking to Hottie?" Hilarious. He seems
real. Like such a funny guy.
He is. I mean, I'm not sure he's a big fan of the media, but you know what? It's all good. We ain't going anywhere. So Hottie, sorry, we're not going anywhere. Entertain us. We'll entertain you, and we'll call it a day at the end of the day.
Do any of the guys like actually like the media?
Like the media?
Yeah.
You mean as a group or individuals? Because
I think Julian Love, probably does.
Like as a group. I mean, obviously they're gonna like individual, like as a group. When they see the media. Is anybody I can't wait to talk to the media? Is there anybody like that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. But if you're talking about, do certain guys like certain individuals? Yes.
Yeah, that I'm sure.
Like Schwartz is Schwartz will have no problem talking to people. I have no problem talking to people, when I ask for them. Duggan has no problem talking to people when he asks for them. And there's others. I'm just, just naming some. And then there are some that, maybe players don't particularly go out of their way to talk to.
Like Chris mentioned.
Well, I'm not mentioning names, but
I didn't either. I'm
gonna get her in trouble. I'm gonna get her in trouble.
I told you guys, Nick Gates is coming on the pod.
Awesome.
Next week. So I'm hoping to get him on for the live show because win or lose, and we're talking win here, but win or lose, I'd like to get him on even if he comes on for 10 minutes on the live show. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but Gates told me he would do the pod. So that's coming for sure. Just a matter of when we get that scheduled. So, all right, let's see. Higgins, Haven 3D. Do you think Phil Simms should be in the Hall of Fame? You know what? He got them there to one Super Bowl victory, and he was well on his way to getting them to another Super Bowl until he broke his leg. I would put him in. There are guys who've done less than him that are in.
He has 199 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He is Super Bowl MVP, and like you said, we were 13-3 in 1990. I think we were 11-2. But he would have been 11-3 because the Bills lost. He started that when he got the Liz Frank injury. And then, he threw for over 30,000 passing yards. He started his career, was rough at the beginning. He had a lot of injuries. He was benched in 83 for Scott Bruner. But, yeah, you look at the counterparts. Listen, Phil Simms' statistics are better than Troy Aikman's. Troy Aikman's in the Hall of Fame. Why? Because he won 3 Super Bowls. Well, Phil Simms won a Super Bowl and was a big part of the second one. Let's be fair. So, yes, Phil Simms. Well, you look at his stats now, like, there's nothing compared to these guys. But he played in the 80s.
He threw for 4,000 yards back in the 80s 1 year.
Yeah, in 1984, he threw for over 4,000 yards. So,
but the problem obviously is as the years go on and new players become eligible, then guys like Phil Simms don't get in. And it's a shame. I think Phil should be in.
I think he would have. I think he would have gotten in had he won the second Super Bowl, but because Hostetler
Well,
won, and he did.
but he got injured.
I know it's bad
so-
luck, but I think had he stayed healthy and they still won that Super Bowl, I think he'd be a Hall of Famer if he had 2 Super Bowl rings. So it's just unfortunate luck.
Yeah.
Giants fans will always love him, but I don't think he's good enough without that second Super Bowl for them to put him in the Hall of Fame. That's
Right.
unfortunate, but I think he would have had he won that second Super Bowl.
Right. So,
He's a Hall of Fame.
it is what it is.
He's
We'll
a
see
Hall
if
of Famer.
Eli gets in when it's his
I think
turn.
he deserves it, but
Yeah, I want to see if Eli gets in. If Eli doesn't get in, then
Eli's got to get in.
He's
Eli will
got to get in. He's
Yeah.
got to get in. But I've had people tell me that he should be he not only should he not be in, he shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't think he
I'm like,
will be.
I don't think he'll be
be.
first ballot, but he's got to
He
get
should
in.
be.
He should
And I
be,
think
but he won't
Coughlin
be.
should be in too, by the way.
Coughlin will make the Hall of Fame eventually.
He's got to be. I mean,
He
come
won
on.
2 Super Bowls as a head coach with the Giants. He made 2 AFC Championship games with the Jaguars. Like he was
Right.
part of the coaching staff for the Giants Super Bowl teams early
Yep.
on. So
Absolutely.
yeah, Coughlin's gonna make the Hall of Fame.
He's got to make it in. Absolutely. All right. Doug Analytics asks, how often do you get to interview, talk to front office members? Well, Doug, they schedule pressers. Let's see. There's the draft presser. Actually, let me start at the beginning of the year. There's the season wrap-up presser. There's the pre-draft presser. Then there's the 3 draft days. Then we usually get the GM before training camp. Then we get them during the bye week. So that's 7. And then if you need, with this GM, if you need him, he's pretty good with, even if he gives you like 5 minutes, or if you have to do something via email, like there have been times when I've emailed questions in and gotten a response back. And so Shane's pretty good like that, but if you're talking about other front office members, usually those people are off limits unless you have, you can make a compelling case to write a story. Like I know there's a story I want to write in the off season, and I don't know if they're going to let me do it, but I'm going to pitch it to them and see if they let me do it. But it does involve some members of the front office. But yeah, the GM is usually available, I want to say between 7 and 8 times. Usually, like I've been saying, Shane and Daboll speak together when the football team is in the house, which I think is great, by the way, because it's one message. And it's the same thing with the draft, one message, and each guy knows what the other guy is saying. So that's how, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So yes. Peter Serto asked if Carl Banks is in the Hall of Fame. He's not. I think he was a finalist, if I'm not mistaken, one of the 15 finalists, but isn't he in the Michigan Hall of Fame?
He must be.
I think he is. He
was a first round pick. He's probably in a great pro, so he's probably in the Michigan Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Carson's obviously in.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Carson's in. Strahan obviously is in. I'm trying to think who else recently. And then you also have the Ring of Honor too, which, for a lot of those players is a big thing. So
About time Leonard Marshall got in there.
God,
That
Leonard
was one of my
wanted it
favorite
the
guys.
worst.
I always say
I am
that's
so
the
happy
most
Leonard won it.
underrated Giant I've ever.
I never understood, by the way, why it took Strahan so long to get in. Strahan and Eli went in the same year. How does that make sense? Eli retired how much longer after Strahan did? He
When
retired
did
like
Eli-
12
when
years
did
after
Eli
Strahan
go
did.
in? Did it have to do with the pandemic?
But why would it even be close? Like Strahan retired in 2007. He should have went in immediately, just like Eli did.
I know, but also it might have been because Strahan could never come out because he was out in the West Coast doing Fox.
Maybe
That
that's what
could
it
have been
was. Maybe that's what it was.
That's what I'm thinking it was.
Yeah, maybe that is what it was.
Or if I'm not, I'm wondering now, did Strahan say he wanted to go in when Eli went in? That could have been two. But I think it was a combination of two things, if I'm not mistaken. But you guys doing a show after this? Because if we are, we got to get to our predictions to start wrapping things up.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing a show after this. Yeah.
So you wanna do predictions?
Let's
Sure.
do it.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go
I'll-
first.
I feel like I always go first, so I'll let Bad Dog go first.
We did this.
Dog.
We did this the other day. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm not picking against the Giants. It's not happening. There's no way. There's no way I'm picking against us. We're on a roll. I've seen it before. I've seen the story. Nobody gives us a chance. We're mediocre all year long. This team don't belong here. This team's it's a speed bump. We're the Eagles. We kick the Giants' butt every time we play them. This is another bye week. We're getting ready to play Dallas or San Francisco. Just roll over the Giants. Daniel Jones is no good. The line's no good. You got no receivers. We got Jalen Hurts. He's an MVP. Blah, 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 blah. Well, this ain't the same Giants team that you saw earlier in the year, and you're not the same Eagles team. The Giants are going to put a lot of pressure on you early and often. You're in for a war. This is not going to be, you're not just going to roll over. This is not the same old Giants. This is not Joe Judge's Giants. This is not Ben McAdoo's Giants. This is not Pat Shermer's Giants.
This is not Week 13 Giants. Or
right, that's right. This is not Joe Judge's Daniel Jones, okay? This is the New York Football Giants, the way they play when they win Super Bowls. And I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but this team's on a roll. And I don't think Philadelphia is that much better than us. But the Giants are going to outplay them in this game because everybody thinks that we got no chance. The Giants are going to do it their way, just like they've been doing it all year. We'll win in this game 28-24. And we're either going to Dallas or San Francisco. So get your plane ticket ready, Patty, because you're going to travel next week.
All right. Sounds good. I like San Francisco, by the way. Nice city.
There you go.
I really like it.
Maybe you get to
visit.
visit.
And you know, when you go out to San Francisco, you got to go to Alcatraz. I love that. Alcatraz.
I love the movie and the book.
Have you ever been to the actual place?
No, I've never been to California.
Oh, my goodness.
I did. I went on a tour.
Very eerie and haunting about that place. It's just fascinating. And sometimes they have actual inmates who served time there. Yeah, and just to see, I love it's one of my favorite tourist spots out in Frisco.
Yeah, I love it.
If I ever made it in Frisco, I would do that because like I said, I love that movie. I love that book. I think that's fascinating. So,
yeah. All right, Tainah, you're up.
This whole year has been about writing the New York Giants off. It's been before the year started. ESPNs of the world said we'd win 4 games, 5 games. Bad Dog
and Chris has said 7.
We said 7, and that was being optimistic by most people's standards. And people were writing this team off since before the year started. People were writing Daniel Jones off before he even played a game in the NFL. People were writing Saquon Barkley off before, once he had the ACL tear. People were writing Andrew Thomas off after he had 4 starts, and people were saying he was a bust. People have been writing these players off, this team off, their entire careers, this entire season. So they're used to this. They're ready for this. They've been doubted forever, and they're going into an environment where this team is playing their best football all year, and they're going up against a team in Philadelphia who, in my opinion, is playing their worst football they've played all year. The Giants have some momentum, and I think they're going to win. I have convinced myself that they are going to win this game. I think it's going to be very close. If we do lose, I think it's going to be 3 or 4 points either way. I think the Giants are going to play them down to the nitty-gritty. I believe in our head coach. I think they're going to come out with a game plan that the Eagles don't see coming. They've now played this team for the 3rd time this year. We've got plenty of tape on them. Daboll's very familiar with Jalen Hurts, being that he coached him at Alabama. I think they pick up on some of his tendencies, create a turnover or 2, and the Giants win 27-24.
Ooh, tight one, huh?
Tight one.
All right. So what's the spread now? 7.5?
7.5.
7.5.
All right. I will say this much. I do not think that the Eagles will win this game by that much. I don't think. All right. Let me backtrack a little bit. On the crossover show yesterday, I said it was going to be close. And I said that the Giants would cover the spread, but I had the Giants losing by a field goal because something always funky happens in Philadelphia. You know, what's that?
Or against Philadelphia.
Or against, especially in Philadelphia. You know how they say it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Well, something always funky happens to the Giants in Philadelphia. Victor Cruz injury, the embarrassing shutout. I can go on and on. Something happened. The drop pass by Evan Engram. Something always happens. Now, that being said, if you believe in curses, it's a new era of Giant football. This team, as I've been saying all along, very confident, but not cocky, very meticulous in the preparation. The coaching staff feels that, they have a good enough plan. They've approached the practices, like I said this week, focused on the mental aspect of it, which is so important, because you can't have mistakes in this game. So it's going to be a close one. Do I believe the Giants can win? Yes. Do I think they're going to?
She froze.
She froze
And
because
she was about
Oh,
to pick
I-
the Eagles. That's why she froze. She was about to pick the Eagles. The
I was
internet
going
said,
to say they
"Don't
cut
do
her
it."
off.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't shake this. I want to be. Listen. In fairness, I've been doing. Remember how I told you a couple weeks ago that I always write 2 leads for my game
Yes.
story, and one's a win, one's a loss, and I hope that that the loss never sees the light of day. I've been wrong in my predictions. All right, the last couple weeks.
Well, last week you
So
picked the
if I have to
Giants.
take one for the team, I'll take
Yeah.
one for the team. I'm gonna pick the Eagles by a field goal. Sorry.
Pat, okay, one thing Patty's not understanding here. Okay. I have this on good authority. And for you horror movie fans, you understand what I'm talking about. I have it on good authority that the Giants brought Damian Karras in to exorcise these demons from The Exorcist. Okay. So, Patty, we're going to exorcise those demons. We're winning this game. It's a new era.
I hope so.
You got
I
this.
hope so.
Like I
want
said,
them
start
to
looking
win.
at hotels in Dallas or San Fran or wherever.
Dude, I want to see.
travel.
Look, if for no other reason, I want to see them win because I want to see how insufferable you're going to be.
Yeah, you're going to love it. Giants fans are going to love it. Eagle fans are going to be, oh my God, no.
I want to see that.
Oh, wait.
Trust me. But I'm just.
I can't blame you
Gosh,
for picking the. How could you? How could
Look,
anybody
if I
blame
have
you
to
for
take
picking the
one for the
Eagles?
team, I will.
They're the number 1 seed. They're the favorite for a reason. But I'm
I
riding with
will
the
take one
Giants.
for the team.
Yeah.
And
Patty,
hope I'm wrong.
I
I
hope
think they
you're
can
wrong.
win it. I do think they can win it, but I'm just now I haven't written my final article for the week for Giants Country where I do why they will win, why they will lose, and a prediction. So maybe I feel differently when I write it tomorrow. But right now, I said yesterday, Eagles by a field goal. I still feel that way. I don't know why.
It's okay.
I know why.
They're a good team.
And if I'm wrong, listen, if I'm wrong, you guys can razz me next week.
No, hell, I'm not going to harass you. I'm going to say I'm glad you got
Razz
that one
me.
wrong.
Razz me. You can
I'm not
razz me.
harassing you. Listen, I've told this story before. In 2007, I felt like we were beating Tampa. I said we're beating Tampa. And then I felt like I said we're going to beat Dallas. There's no question in my mind. I'm like, we're beating Dallas. I was telling everybody, we're going to beat Dallas. And I've told this before. I went to Connecticut with my wife to visit a few friends or whatever. And on the way back, we stayed in Kingston, which is about 2 hours south of me. We just didn't want to drive all the way back up to, upstate New York. And I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, I don't think they can beat Green Bay. I'm like, I think it ends here. I can't see them going into Lambeau and beating Brett Favre. And it's 23 below. I don't think they're going to win. And I woke up the next morning and I don't remember, it wasn't Susie Colbert, but I don't remember who was on ESPN. I just remember seeing her on the field and it's all quiet and it's cold. And I looked at my wife, I go, the Giants are winning today. Like the Giants are going to pull this off. So maybe you wake up on Saturday, Patty, and you get to Philadelphia
Exactly.
when you go to Philadelphia tomorrow?
No, Saturday.
Okay, so maybe you wake up on Saturday and you get there and you maybe just like, you know what? I feel like we're going to do it. So you can definitely change your mind the day off. Tonight you feel that way. You might not feel that way before the game.
Richard Romanoff, the Giants didn't give me a job. I don't work for the Giants, my friend. And I'm not what you said I am. All right. I'm taking one for the team here. There's a method behind my madness. So keep your opinion to yourself. Okay. Thank you. I'm not going to post it on the
Oh
screen.
God, she's just giving you her opinion. Relax.
It's an opinion, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's a prediction.
Yeah. I'm now again.
You're not the only one picking the Eagles.
Look, if I have to take one for the team, if I have to take one for the team, and if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to be wrong.
Hey, I was wondering about Daniel Jones. I'm happy about that too.
I hope I'm wrong, but
I hope you're wrong too.
I'm begging you wrong.
Man.
I'm begging you.
I
wrong.
don't care how many years you've been watching football. No need to be calling me what you call me, dude. Come on, show some respect.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry, guys. That's how I feel now. Again, like dog, like you were saying, maybe I wake up tomorrow and write my why they will win, why they will lose, and a prediction.
Yep.
Maybe I feel differently.
I'm gonna convince you tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to you. We're gonna get you to change that article. We're gonna convince you.
But I'm going to do I will do the shrimp Caesar salad.
Okay.
I will do I did the coffee. I've done all the things. I will write the 2 leads like I've been doing. So look, I want them to win.
Obviously.
So, that's
I think it's gonna be
Patty,
close.
we're not giving you. I'm not going to give you
gonna be close.
a prediction. It's going to be a war.
I probably just lost about 100 subscribers.
No,
to the
you
channel.
didn't.
Probably, and then God knows how many Twitter followers.
You listen. You probably just gained 200 from Philadelphia, so you're okay. It evens out.
No,
But
but
they're gonna be like, oh, I like this lady. She's picking us. I'm gonna subscribe.
You got to tell
I
you.
don't
You got to
want
tell
that.
how you truly feel.
That's exactly it. You listen. The first time we played the Eagles, I said we were going to get blown out.
I picked
Right.
against the Giants several times this year. I honestly
Why?
feel like we're hot right now, and I think we're gonna ride it.
I
into the
think
game.
so too. I think so too. But it's just something always happens, and
I know.
you
Just
know. It's
remember,
like,
I don't know if you're a horror movie fan. Just remember, have you ever seen The Exorcist?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
You've never seen The Exorcist?
I'm not a horror movie fan.
That's a
I've
horror
watched
movie.
enough horror movies in real time.
Well, that's true too.
Miracle of
The Giants are a horror movie for the last 5 years. Yeah, it was pretty rough. But yeah, I'm just telling you, the Giants will exercise these. It's about time, Patty. A whole new regime, a whole new outlook, a whole new culture. Something funky always happens in Philadelphia. This time, the funky thing is going to happen to Philadelphia.
Yeah,
We're going to get this. We're going to get this done. Next week, we're going to be talking about the NFC Championship.
Somebody just called me, just said, unfollowing you, blank cheek, Pat Leonard, loving Eagle fan. What? All right, whatever.
In the chat.
Yeah.
I don't even
Hey,
listen. It up. I'm not going to put it on the screen.
You gotta one thing you gotta get used to, and as you continue to grow on YouTube, you trust me, you'll get used to it fast. You're gonna get more and more people.
Oh, I get it. I told you. I had somebody write me a hate mail and send it to my PO box.
Look, it's all good. It's all good.
People hate when you start to become successful. There's haters out there, and it's unfortunate.
Look, guys, it would be boring. Look, this is how I feel right now. Tomorrow, when I sit down to write, maybe I feel differently. Maybe I look at it and I go back over my notes and I find something that's different that I say, oh God, I should have mentioned that.
I'm gonna convince her, guys. Don't worry, she's picking the Giants to win.
Yeah, trust me, I'm doing the same thing. By Saturday, she's gonna be like,
watch, I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail, and probably people are gonna sign up my Locked On Giants account for spam, because that happens every week. By the way, for those of you who want to do that, you got to double opt in. So I don't double opt in. So nice try. So yeah, I'll probably get a bunch of spam tomorrow in my email box. But come on, it's all good, guys. I mean, look,
that is the internet. Trust me, I get it. I get it a lot.
So
it's all
good. You'll be okay though. You'll be okay.
I know. Look. Guys, don't take this the wrong way, but I battled cancer and I survived that. And if that's the toughest battle I'm ever going to face in my life, then
you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. Exactly.
So you've been with this Giants team for 20 years. You've dealt with it worse than that, so you're good to go.
Yes, obviously, and when they win, heck, I was right out there when the Super Bowl, when the confetti came down. I was right out there, standing there, watching everything up close.
Well, I hope you're ready for it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling like it. So relax, guys. Relax. I'm not saying that, and there will be a day when trust me, I will not feel this way constantly. It's just muscle memory at this point,
Yeah, listen, I understand, but Chris and I are going to convince you that prediction is incorrect.
Go for it. So anyway, those of you who's hung around, thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Giants Live. Yes, I hope I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, next week, razz me. I don't care.
We're gonna razz you. If the Giants win, we're gonna razz you.
You can razz me. I can take it. I'm a big girl. So razz me all you want.
Patty will welcome it if she's wrong. Trust me.
So thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the game. Tomorrow I'm gonna have a bonus episode for you guys. Coach Gene Clemens is gonna be on. So I've got a bonus episode dropping at midnight. We're talking about Giants Eagles. What else? And Coach Gene has some interesting predictions and some suggestions as to what the Giants can do. So you want to check that out as well. If you still love me, that is. Hopefully you still do. So everybody have a great weekend. Go Giants. Yes, I do want them to win, but we'll see. We'll see. So
We got this.
take care, everybody. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you on Sunday with our eval. So take care.